funniest part is, you just know that they washed it off of the inside of the tube carriage before thinking, maybe this might be a big tourist thing. Someone has put up this Banksy like graffiti. Let's get rid of it because it's vandalism. It's not like Banksy, an artist whose random artworks popping up anywhere, is creating stuff that is worth millions of pounds just by
It's only
existing,
vandalism if you can't
and
sell
there's
it.
massive tourism traps. True, but come on, they could absolutely do something with it. They absolutely could. Like, you know that there'd be an upsurge in people using certain lines on the underground in London just so they could try and get into that carriage.
I don't think there should be a sudden upsurge of anyone using any lines on the London Underground right now.
That's very true, but hey, things will be fine because we're all definitely going to wear our masks, aren't we, Matt?
Yeah, until
regular listeners to
one
this
of your
podcast
mates gets spotted in Pret without his mask, and then you turn around and go, "Oh, actually, no, you don't need to wear one if you're ordering takeout food."
Oh Jesus, what? That's a thing?
That's literally what happened. Michael Gove was spotted in Pret.
Oh my God!
Not wearing a mask,
right?
And then today, the government has turned around and go, "Oh, actually, yeah, you don't need to wear a mask if you're ordering takeout food."
Oh, bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!
It's like
bullshit!
What the fuck?
Bullshit!
What the fuck?
Oh my God! Like.
You can't.
Oh,
it's beyond parody. This is more crazy bullshit than anything that Armando Iannucci ever fucking did in the thick of it.
It was a podcast slash like news sort of group that I absolutely fucking adore. I love them and I recommend our listeners check them out. I've mentioned them on the show a couple times before. Double Toasted. They are so funny. Corey and Martin is sort of the most recurring like second seat on it, but they were talking about what do you call it? They were talking about the mask thing. Oh God, where is it coming from? There was a specific thing that they said where I was just like, good God, that nails it on the head. That's the nail on the head perfectly. Like, you've absolutely summed it up. And about that, it'll come to me. It'll come to me.
Hit the nail right into the lid.
It hit so far in that it's pierced my brain and I've forgotten where that train was going. But what I have remembered is to say, hi everybody, welcome to the Big Damn Cast. Nerdy news, geeky gossip, whatever shit's happening in the world right now, because let's effing face it, the world is screwed, but do yourselves a favour, wear a fucking mask for Christ's sake.
Wear a mask. Please wear a mask.
Wear a mask for the 50th millionth time that we're ever going to say it. Wear a fucking mask. Because you can eat chocolate underneath it. It is literally
the least you can do.
You can eat chocolate underneath it and no one will judge you. But I don't like it because it's just so smelly in your breath. Brush your teeth. Put some chewing gum in. Like, guess what? That weird feeling of, oh, that's kind of odd, disappears after the first minute. Put it on your damn face. Do you know what else it does? Protects people. Oh, still too selfish? It protects you. So, I am Chris.
No one cares about that.
Well,
people are just happy they can go and sit inside a Costa now.
Oh, jeez. I am Chris.
They don't give a fuck.
I'm really not missing Costa that much, Johnson.
And I am bored. I'm so bored. That's me.
We got it changed by Deepole.
Yeah, you know who I am.
I am the terror that flaps in the night.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Christopher.
Oh?
Because we've got a new terror that flaps in the night.
Oh?
Well, actually, I don't think she's a terror, and I'm not sure she does much flapping. But, remember when we said that they were going to recast Batwoman?
Yeah, Ruby Rose, the title role, one series out, no definitive reason given other than she's moving on and everything's lovely, and she said, I'm moving on and everything's lovely, and we all speculated, your back injury and the schedule commitments have probably pushed you to going, I don't want to do this anymore.
But it's hard.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? Who bloody knows?
I'm not here to shit on people for not wanting to do things that are difficult, because that must have been a fucking difficult shoot.
But the CW did say that...
You fucked your back up, just step away. That's fucking fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, but the CW said the show will go on, and in fact, during lockdown, we are actually casting the show right now. We are casting our new lead. Batwoman will continue. And,
Batwoman, aka Ryan Wilder.
Yeah.
We now have a face for that name, and it is the face of series regular from CBS show God Friended Me.
Look it up, folks. You won't be disappointed. Oh.
Javicia Leslie.
Okay, Javicia. So she's playing Ryan. What's her name? His character's name?
Ryan Wilder.
Ryan Wilder.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to ask the obvious questions here. They said when they were going to recast the part that because the character is lesbian, they were going to make a concerted. Well, I genuinely am tripping over words. They were going to make a specific effort to cast an actor who would represent the character's LGBTQ plus like sort of figureheadedness, as it were.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to shy away from that. Do we, and it's such a weird thing to ask, but I'm mostly asking because I want to know if Warner Brothers followed up on this. Do we know what our new lead's sexual orientation is? Do we have any idea?
She's bisexual.
Thank God. Great. But shouldn't anyone be able to play the part as acting? Yeah, but the point is this character is a gay icon, and it's kind of cool that they have actually stuck by their guns and said, we are going to cast a non-heterosexual actor for this part.
She put out a statement saying, and other things. I'm extremely proud to be the first black actress to play.
She put out a statement saying, I am vengeance. I am the night.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am extremely proud to be the first black actress to play the iconic role of Batwoman on television. And as a bisexual woman, I am honoured to join this groundbreaking show, which has been such a trailblazer for the LGBTQ plus community.
Is that the spin-off from Community?
It's the modern version.
Okay.
That all the fans of the old one are complaining about.
All right. This is good because Warner Brothers have actually stuck to what they said they were going to do here, and that's good. Yeah. They didn't just sort of go. It's also interesting they've taken the opportunity to go. We could just recast the role of Kate Kane, but we're not going to. We're going to create a new character, which means that the series is obviously going to have to time jump or maybe get Ruby Rose back for a handover at the start of season 2 or whatever it is that they're going to do.
I don't think they're going to get Ruby Rose back.
So will it be... Because the premise of Batwoman at the start was Bruce Wayne has gone missing for a while and then Batwoman sort of like fills the void left behind since Batman's disappearance.
Well, the character breakdown that they put out...
Batwoman is missing, and the new Batwoman is going to fill in.
You'd think that. She's a career criminal who ends up becoming Batwoman.
Oh, that's different.
So
that's actually different.
That is actually different. It's actually different.
Is that a first for a Bat family character? Jason Todd was a car thief. He stole like tires and stuff and wheels.
Batman found him. Nicking tires from the Batmobile in Crime Alley.
Yep.
And then he sent him to a school for boys, which turned out to be the front for an old woman who trained the boys to be criminals and thugs. I shit you not. It was a weird time, man.
And then Batman went, okay, now you're going to be my human target boy sidekick instead, because I missed my previous boy. You'll be my new boy. Everything will be fine, boy. You won't get murdered. Oh. So. But don't worry, you'll come back after 25 years because all comics come back to characters who are dead coming back from the dead eventually.
Everybody comes back eventually.
Because there is nothing new under the sun.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
That was a very sinister George Lucas.
No, a very sinister George Lucas would be. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
If we get George all right, then this'll all come together, he says, sharpening a scalpel, which is like a scalpel, but posher sounding. Well, I wish luck to our new Batwoman overlords, and I hope she's blessed with a good show that runs and serves to continue to be an example, and isn't like the first series where I watched like 2 episodes and went, this is a bit too Gotham for me. I'm fine, thanks, and I moved on. I was like, it's just playing it a little bit too weird, and I'm like, nah. Oh, that's been announced since we last podcasted as well.
Yeah, the
Gotham Central,
the Batman spin-off show.
Yeah, a spin-off show for a movie that's not out yet that will be a hit. Whether it'll be a critical hit, obviously depends on the film, but it will be a hit movie.
You got to use focus energy first.
Yeah, oh Jesus. You got to build up.
And if you're a Farfetch'd, you need to be holding a stick.
Why are there 2 types of Farfetch'd in Pokemon Go at the moment? They're both the same, but one's got a longer leak and looks angrier.
Because in Sword and Shield, there's a Galarian form for Farfetch'd. Who is slightly different, and he's a fighting type, and he evolves into Surfetch'd.
Oh, this hasn't got an evolve option yet, but it's definitely out there.
Yeah.
I've caught a few. It looks more annoyed, and he's got a big leak.
It is more annoyed.
Yeah.
Because it's British.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, he evolves into Surfetch'd, which is white.
Surfetch'd.
And it has its leak is so big, and it's got a leaf on it. So he's cut the leaf off, and he's holding the leaf bit as a shield.
Oh.
And the massive leak is like a lance.
Okay, Surfetch'd.
I've got one. They're really good.
That's quite cool.
But they're a bitch to evolve.
Well, as Surfetch'd as it sounds, the Batman has had a spin-off announced, the upcoming Matt Reeves directed movie starring Robert Pattinson as the Batman. And a spin-off series has been announced for HBO Max, so over here it'll probably end up on the likes of Netflix or Amazon or whoever bids on it, basically. And that series is Gotham Central, based on...
Is it actually called Gotham Central?
That's the title they've announced it as, but they haven't made a thing of saying, here it is and here's your cast, just... This is a thing we're working on, and it'll be tied into the Batman. So it could change titles, it could change directions between now and then, but two things about this that come to mind immediately. One, this is the show I wanted when they announced Gotham. This is what I thought Gotham was going to be. If anyone's read
it makes me think it's Gotham. It's Gotham.
Well, I don't know, because it's set when Gotham Central was. For those who don't know, Gotham Central was a book that I think Ed Brubaker wrote The Run. Is that right?
It sounds like the kind of thing he'd write, because he's a crime guy, he's Ed Brubaker.
I've got it here, where is it? Yeah, it's Brubaker. It's pretty great. It's essentially the story of one of the police departments in Gotham City during the day-to-day kind of life of Batman. So you're in a town where, like, criminals have a very different psychology to what they do in real life, and you have people who push things too far, who want to imitate who they believe to be their heroes. You have people doing incredibly desperate things in an attempt to survive because they're terrified that, you know, that if they do even one crime, they're going to get beaten up by this monster in a giant cloak with pointy ears, and you know they want to save their family. And you deal with the residents of the employees of that particular police precinct and the effect that they have on the GCPD as a whole. Renee Montoya, who's, you know, a beloved character from the Batman the animated series and has been in various other adaptations. She's been The Question. She's in the Birds of Prey movie, played by Rosie Perez. Like, she is in it, and she's a main character in the book. And occasionally, supervillain stuff crosses into the book too. There's a particularly brilliant arc with Two-Face in it, and there's an amazing issue with the Joker in it, where he just walks into the precinct and hands himself in. You're like, right, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is going on? And then as soon as he gets
a trick.
As soon as he gets into the interrogation room, he's just like, yeah, I confess to everything. And this and that, ha ha, blah 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 blah. And they're like, right, okay. And then they put him in a cell, and then he's finally like, okay. So why I'm here is, and I won't say anymore because it's worth the read, but it's pretty damn great. When they announced Gotham back in like 2011, 2012, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be Gotham Central. It's absolutely going to be, it's about the police. It's about Jim Gordon. Oh my God, okay, cool. And then it wasn't. It was Smallville for Batman with all the flaws.
Sounds right.
Some of the wins, but all of the flaws. Some excellent casting. Some heavily miscast ideas. Just, it's really not for me. And And then Gotham wraps up, and in its last episode, chickens out and does a flash forward episode to like the time of Batman. And bye, this is Gotham. Bye, everybody. Bye, bye, bye.
Ah, the Bat time.
Yeah. So it's like you kind of had your chance to do Gotham Central. So that's my first thought. You kind of had your chance. Doing it now just feels like you're going, oh, I guess we'll do this because that one didn't become the pop culture phenomenon that we hoped it would be. So we'll do this version. But the second thing that comes to mind with this is, hi, DC, HBO, maybe read the fucking room right now. Maybe read the fucking room before you commission your clearly high-budget cop show right now. Motherfuckers, read the fucking room. Oh my god, the short-sightedness of these motherfuckers is astounding. Yeah. And it's almost like maybe they're hoping it'll all calm down a little bit and this and the other. But here's the thing. I love Batman. I wouldn't change the world of Batman for anything. I love the stories that could be told in there. I love that different voices tell different stories of that world. I think it's great. Gotham City Police Department is, by and large, a corrupt police outfit. Completely corrupt. Yeah. There are very few good officers in the GCPD who are actually looking out for the people that they are meant to protect and serve. That's why Gordon stands out. That's why Bullock stands out. That's why Montoya stands out. So if you're telling a story of Gotham Central, you are either telling a story of corrupt cops who are doing horrible things to the people they're meant to protect, which I'm not sure people want to see right now, or you're telling a story about the only good cops in the police department, which just further highlights the corruption, which people don't want to see right now. So, fuck this. Like, read the room, come back in 2 or 3 years' time, see where we are culturally and where we are with the police funding in America and everything. See where that is in a few years' time, and then decide if if it's appropriate. Because even comedies like Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now are going, maybe the show gets recast and recontextualized as like a firefighter show, because we want to keep making it, but we don't want to glorify police right now.
Yeah, it's like how do you even tell this story in this world in which we live in?
Yeah, makes you give it a cry. So live and let die. You know, it's just, I don't know. Is all I'm saying at that. Let's just stick, as far as DC shows go, let's just stick to all the fine programming that's made on the definitely not going anywhere DC Universe app, because it's definitely not going anywhere, guys.
Definitely not.
And let's stick to the fine work of the fun, campy...
It's definitely not coming to the UK, for one thing.
Oh, Jesus. The fun, campy, slightly kitsch, mostly harmless CW shows, which also have actors amongst the casts that people have been pointing out have been horribly racist to other cast members behind the scenes. And
awesome.
Well, one guy was fired, wasn't he, from, was it Supergirl? The Flash. One guy's been fired from Flash. Someone who joins it later on. I think it's Flash. But someone who joined the show later on.
The Flash.
And Danielle Panabaker, Killer Frost. There have been stories of her for years being fucking horrible to the lady who plays Iris, and like not necessarily to her face, but there's this whole weird shipping war between fan bases for this show, where a lot of people believe that Barry and Caitlin should be a thing, and make a lot of anti-Iris fan art and stuff. And Danielle Panabaker apparently likes and encourages a lot of it, and you're like, oh,
because people should totally engage with that. People who work on the show should totally engage with that bullshit. I hate shipping. I hate it.
I know.
I hate it so much.
Things suck. But it is important to remember that you can tell wonderful, because you just know there are going to be people listening to this going, oh, Marvel shows. You can tell wonderful, amazing things with DC properties. Now ain't the time for Gotham Central. It really fucking isn't. Read the room, please. Don't do it. Don't do it. Focus all your time and money on this upcoming Tyler Hoechlin starring Lois and Superman show. Superman, was it Superman and Lois Lane? Put your money and effort into that, please. and give us a really hopeful, inspiring, cool show with like the best couple in all of comic books. Just put some time and effort into that. Just do that.
The only way the Gotham Central announcement could be more tone deaf was if they were getting Joss Whedon to work on it.
Oh God. Oh no.
Have you heard?
They won't be doing that because like that attack technique that seems to be happening right now, that attack campaign from like Ray Fisher and stuff, ain't letting up.
Nope.
It ain't letting up, and it's so unusual because it's like, surely all of these people are going to be involved in the promotion of Zack Snyder's Justice League for HBO Max. What a weird move to be basing your like kind of enthusiasm around the project.
I mean,
on the tearing down of the other guy. That's not to say Joss Whedon isn't a shitty guy, because he is, but like, what a weird choice. Do you know what I mean?
There was a story that came out from a pair of stunt performers who worked on Buffy. He said he'd just be turned into an egomaniac.
Fudge,
like throughout the show. James Marsden was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast and recounted a story of when Spike was getting popular.
Oh, James Masters.
James Masters.
Yeah, I was like, did he work with James Marsden?
I mean,
everyone should work with James Marsden at some point. The guy's a goddamn treasure.
He was on. James Masters was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast talking about how when
another DC alumni,
shippers,
former Lex Luthor himself, Michael Rosenbaum, yeah.
Fucking shippers started shipping Spike and Buffy. Apparently, Joss pinned him up against a wall behind the scenes and was like, "I don't give a fuck how popular you are. You're dead. You're dead."
Wow.
And was like really aggressive towards him, or unpleasant towards him.
Wow.
Because he didn't understand why Spike was such a popular character.
Wow. Wow.
So
what the fuck?
Yeah. I can't imagine anyone pinning James Masters up against a wall, but hey.
I mean,
I can't imagine schlubby Joss Whedon pinning him up against a wall, but hey, what do I know?
I mean, to be fair, James Masters has given off some creepy vibes before as well, so...
You reckon?
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So
when you get the chance and want to feel a little creeped out, look up the whole thing. He wrote a song about Michelle Trachtenberg that he apparently wrote while they were working together, and she was super young.
Oh no!
Yeah, because James Masters is like, he's an attractive guy, and Spike is an incredibly compelling character. He also was like the second eldest of the regular cast.
Yeah.
Behind Anthony Head. And when you realise that, and you can sort of separate the whole like affection you have for the interactions of characters like Spike and Dawn, and you think of them as age of this man playing this part and age of this girl playing this part.
Yeah.
That's creepy. James, why did... okay. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
She is super young.
Yeah.
But not as creepy.
I have to not delve so much into Buffy stuff to keep my sanity.
The more I look into the behind the scenes, the more I'm just like, oh man, Joss Whedon this wasn't good. Joss Whedon was bad. Everyone else was bad. This whole thing was bad.
Except Anthony Stewart Head and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Alison Hannigan. And David Boreanaz
Anthony Stewart Head is a treasure.
And countless others. Emma Caulfield, Amber Benson, Seth Green, loads of lovely people. Nick Brendan's had his spells, but he seems to have come to terms with it all in recent years.
I think he's had some demons in the form of bottles.
Yeah.
Many, many bottles.
Yeah. Alternate universe where the MCU never happens, but Nicholas Brendan plays Tony Stark in a CW-style Marvel show in the late 2000s.
Oh, I'm not there for it. I'm
not there for it, but I would like to at least get a bootleg sort of VHS of the first 4 episodes in a brown paper bag from an alternate dimension, just so I could be like, I wonder what this looks like.
It'd look like the fucking Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie.
How dare you insult that work of art?
Oh yeah, that work of art.
I'm only saying that because I want to try and tempt those like 5 listeners who've just heard you say that and gone, wait, what?
Oh,
There's a David Hasselhoff Nick Fury. There's a David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie.
David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie.
While you're at it, look up Daredevil and Thor's appearances in the Incredible Hulk TV show. Do you remember? Because Daredevil's in the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which also, because Matt Murdock's in it and Daredevil makes an appearance in his sort of man without fear kind of look. So basically, if you guys are used to how Daredevil looked for most of season 1 of Netflix, that's pretty much how he looks in The Incredible Hulk.
To be fair, most of season 3 of Daredevil as well.
But do you remember who is on trial in the trial of The Incredible Hulk? What criminal is on trial? Like, I don't know if you've seen
it. It's not... it's been years since I've seen any live-action Hulk.
Kingpin.
No shit.
And do you know who plays him? And it's kind of great casting.
Wilford Brimley.
No. Wilson Diabetes Fisk. No.
Orson Welles.
No, Jonathan Rhys-Davies.
Ah!
Is Kingpin in Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Fantastic.
There's some gems back there. Guys, live action Marvel, like, over the years has been pretty interesting. Look up both previous and fucking awful attempts at Captain America movie franchises. They're both there's one in the 70s and one in the 90s with a sequel, and they're both really bad but fascinating.
The 90s one didn't get a sequel, did it?
The 90s one had a sequel, yeah.
The Matt Salinger one?
No, it was the 70s. No, my mistake. The 70s one got a sequel. Because the 70s one is where his costumes are like, it's like a motorcycle helmet and he rides a motorcycle.
And he's like the transparent shield.
Yeah, that's the 70s one. The 90s one, because the 90s one's got the...
I've never seen that one. I've seen the 90s
one. The 90s one's got the Italian red skull, hasn't it?
It's the Italian red skull, and he's got the ears,
molded
onto the outside of his hood.
They're rubber ears.
The Captain America costume, his ears are on the outside of his hood.
Oh my god!
Molded on. They couldn't be. They were too cheap to make a hood with a mask with holes in it for his ears.
It's the one where there's 2 scenes where he steals a car from somebody by pretending to be sick, getting out to be sick, and as the driver gets out to comfort him, he steals the car, and you're like, "This is the Captain America movie.
This is Captain America.
The fuck."
I mean, it's America in the 90s, so probably.
Look up the Doctor Strange TV movie from the 70s as well. Holy shit.
Or the Jeffrey Combs starring This Is Not Doctor Strange honest film that Charles... was it Full Moon did? What's it called now?
It sounds like a Full Moon sort of release. I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember for the life of me what it's called.
I can't remember what it's called.
Because 70s Doctor Strange was a TV film, and he's got a big old porn tash, and it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not
Why aren't these on Disney Plus? That's what I want to know.
Oh, if you want to go,
where's the Corman Fantastic Four?
Where's the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man live-action TV series and movie? The first theatrically released Spider-Man movie. Where is it? Spider-Man and the Dragon's Challenge.
Oh god! Where's Japanese Spider-Man on Disney Plus?
Where the fuck is Japanese Spider-Man on Disney Plus? I would watch that. Well, I'll tell you where it is. Not allowed on it because he's constantly talking about being the emissary of death. Like, that's his catchphrase. He is the emissary of death. Oh dear.
Well, Spider-Man, the emissary of death.
I'm Spider-Man, the emissary of death, as he calls his giant
I did watch some
neck
Disney
robot.
Plus this weekend, though.
You watched some Disney Plus?
Yeah, because I finally got around to watching Hamilton.
Hey, Alexander Hamilton. Or as I've been calling him, Alexander Cameltoe.
And I know what the fuss is all about now.
Ladies and gentlemen, what follows is at least 10 minutes of 2 musical theatre nerds spunking onto their microphones. So,
well, I will say one thing.
Go on, one thing.
Lin-Manuel... Hey there.
That was your thing. You said it, you had your time.
Lin-Manuel Miranda should not be playing Alexander Hamilton. I get that he wrote it, and I get that he's brilliant and everything, but he's the weakest singer in the cast, and it shows.
I think, do you know what? I can't disagree, but at the same...
I know you can't, because I'm right.
But at the same time, like, having watched it now and listened to the album and stuff, like, the album is always the best vocal take that everyone's ever going to do.
Because they do it in the studio. Yeah. They don't do it on stage. They don't...
And if you listen to the soundtrack, like, he there's no weak link in the soundtrack as a listen. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone brings it. He's on par. But I know what you mean. There's I think for me, what makes me kind of feel the same as you is because he's kind of, and this isn't obviously saying the others aren't, but he's kind of acting it more. And as a result, the vocal powerhouseness of everyone else is completely overshadowing him.
And there are powerhouses.
Oh my god.
Let me look up the
Leslie Odom Jr.
It's awesome. Oh god, yeah,
shit.
Woo!
Oh my god. So again, we talked about this again last week, really briefly. Hamilton is a musical about one of the founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton of America, and essentially about his rather bizarrely sort of predestined path in life. Him becoming the guy who essentially starts American finance as it is now. The guy who tried to challenge certain civil rights things in the early days of the Declaration of Independence and not quite getting there, but kicking up enough of a stink. It also talks about his kind of rise to power and then desire to still do more and make his place, and it corrupting every decision he makes. He's famous for basically being the first ever politician to be embroiled in a sex scandal, which he exposes himself to protect his career, and doesn't for a second think about how that's going to affect his life, his wife, his children's legacy.
I love how fucking dumbfounded as well Jefferson and his gang are by the fact that he just goes, but they're trying to blackmail him. He just goes, "Well, I guess I better put it out there."
Yeah,
because he fucking releases it.
Because he goes, he goes basically like, right, so you come to blackmail me because you noticed that I've been funneling money to somewhere anonymous. So what you're saying is you think I'm using government money to do this. I'm embezzling. Right, so if I provide to you proof of that the money is mine and where it's going, you can't follow this up. And they're like, no, I guess we can't. He's like, right, here's the list. Here's the receipts. Here's the thesis.
Here's the literal receipts.
Yeah, I had an affair years ago. Here's the money I had to pay. Basically, it was blackmail to the husband of the woman I slept with. And here's proof that it was my money, not the government's. Are you happy?
Are they kind of ambiguous on whether that was a setup or not?
What, them confronting him about it?
No, the woman who had the affair with.
Oh no! It's because after watching this, I immediately started watching a bunch of interviews with Lin-Manuel Miranda about
because it's fucking fascinating
where he picked and chose stuff from and why he chose certain things and why he didn't choose others. Because again, it's what we talked about last week. A lot of people put weird pressures on this show of being like, well, it has to be completely accurate because it's about a real person. It's like, yeah, but it's also musical theatre and it's telling a story based on true events
as well. There's no dialogue.
Oh yeah.
It's completely sung.
It's based on true events, but it's not. You're not supposed to be showing this in a history class. Put it that way. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
This is meant to be something that if you're a history buff, you watch it and go, "Oh wow, they actually mentioned that, or they touched on this, or they did that." But yeah, no, it's alleged that no, that wasn't the case. It wasn't a setup, but when he sort of called it a day. The lady in question was so passionately in love with him, she kept pursuing a relationship, and he basically just had to tell her to piss off, or he was going to get them framed for a crime or something, just so she'd be put away. So it's so really the two scumbags in the scenario were outright him for having the affair in the first place, and the woman's husband for turning it into extortion. I'm making a thing of it and being, oh, you can still sleep with my wife. I don't give a shit. But every time you do, you've got to pay me a little bit more. It's oh, good God. So yeah, there's so many things that they don't go into, but it's just what the fuck. On the Hamilton mixtape, which is a release of covers and samples and a few demos.
Yeah. They
have, for example, on there the congressional rap battles. There's two of them in the show, and they have both between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, the two Senate hearings.
Yeah, which is basically just an excuse for Lin-Manuel who can write these things really well, and DAVEED DIGGS who can spit fire like it was breathing, just basically doing politics dialogue and it being fascinating.
It's I think what I said about it when we were watching it was that it was amazing to see something that was so vital and had so much energy. Especially in this country, so much musical theatre, so much white musical theatre.
Yeah.
It's just fucking white people going ma 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 I say that as a person who likes musical theatre, but like compare this to like anything Andrew Lloyd Webber has ever written.
Shit's all over
and it just makes all that shit feel like a dirge.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It shits over it because it sort of goes, "Oh, you still doing that? Cool. What about this now?" But that's the third congressional, the third rap battle on the demo is on the mixtape, and that's
Okay.
one. That's it, a whole angle that they only suggest a few times in the musical, relating back to last week's discussion. That one is all about them challenging slave trade and the usage of slaves. And you can see that, but the basic message at the end of it is like Washington steps in, is like, look, you're not going to change minds on all of this right now. This is like, you are laying down an idea that the future is going to grab and run with and make work. And I think they cut it because it's like the only number out of the ones that are in it, and then this one where like it's kind of saying, hey audience, why is racism still a fucking problem? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's the one number where they sort of were like, we can't like just bollock the audience here, but we still need to raise the issue of, racial inequality. So that's why in the show there's a lot of touches on it and stuff, like, and they make a real focus on. I'm trying to remember the character's name now. The first of the group to die, and he dies after their victory in a battle. Like he gets killed on the way home.
John Lawrence?
John Lawrence, yeah. John Lawrence was fighting specifically to try and grow the presence of black Americans and African Americans and whatnot.
Yeah, because he
army.
sings about wanting to have the first all-black regiment.
Yeah. And then you sort of see that like any escalation toward that goal is sort of cut short when he is killed out of battle after the victory, and no one sort of picks it up. Like Hamilton says that he's going to pick up that baton, but he doesn't, because his focus goes elsewhere. And in real life, even though he was very anti-slave, he was hypocritical as fuck, because in real life, as soon as he married into the Schuyler family, he had black slaves.
Yeah.
So, but again, like we talked about last week, that's one of the prominent reasons why they cast the show, the leads in particular, save for one where it kind of is there for a visual point. The leads are all cast with non-white actors, non-white performers, because they're sort of doing this kind of take back of, right, well, they didn't do enough, so we're going to give opportunities to non-white Americans, and like, obviously we'll never equal, and this isn't going to somehow remove everything that happened, but we can at least turn it into an opportunity. But of course, like the one prominent, we're going to talk about him now, the one prominently white role, the only role where they go, oh, we cast that part white so far at least, to kind of make that point of like the old way and this, that, and the other, is King George III, who in this performance is played by Jonathan Groff. Fucking hell, how good is that first number?
Good.
I mean, obviously it's the same number.
So good.
He's the only role in the show where the actor is in it for about 9 minutes total, and it's a number, a new song that is essentially a reprise, and then a third kind of like stab at it, where the character then remains on stage for a little bit to sort of oversee things and just sort of visually be part of the scene. But fucking hell, like, again, like you said before, there's no talking, it's all singing. There's little bits of dialogue sometimes in the song, but it's part of a melody or a bridge. Whereas all he does is sing, and he's terrifying. Like, he's a psycho.
Did you know where the idea for that song came from?
No, go on.
It was when Lin-Manuel Miranda was working on
In the Heights?
House.
Oh, what?
He was in House.
Oh, right, okay.
And he was, he was having a drink with Hugh Laurie. And
oh my God, I'm starting to put it together. Okay, yeah.
And he was talking about how he had this idea for a song, a sort of song about King George, with King George singing to America during the Revolution, and Hugh Laurie was like, you'll be back. And so that line is Hugh Laurie's sort of expression of King George to the Americans.
That is fucking genius, like, seed planted. And of course, like, Hugh Laurie would know all about playing Mad Monarchs. So that works out quite nicely.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Very good.
It's a great number. And again, it's brilliant. Like, they're having their revolution, so the song is it's the first non-contemporary track in the show as well. Like, up to that point, it's very much
the most like a musical theatre track.
Yeah,
like a quote unquote traditional musical theatre track.
And more of those come in after that point, but it's the first to do that, and it's consciously to break the mold of what you've been watching for the last 20 minutes.
They've always got, I think, apart from that song, they've always got that sort of undertone of a more modern pop slash R&B.
The inspirations are like
and sensibility.
80s, 90s, and 2000s hip hop and R&B. And it's
absolutely.
all there. And but like that's the first one where you just suddenly it's like an early 60s kind of like the one that comes to mind. There's it's a Monkeys track. You know, oh, I could lie neath the winds of the bluebird as she sing. Like, think of the rhythm of that.
Yeah.
You'll be back soon. You'll see. Just remember, and it's like, but it's done on purpose. That you just sort of go, what the fuck? Like, it sounds completely different. Like, it doesn't quite belong. It's older than the rest of it. And is like set in its way, and the rest of it started to move on and sound different, and it's like, God, that's fucking great. This, I don't think I've ever enjoyed the use of motif as much as I ever have done in this show. I think I said to you on the stream the other night when you said you watched it, I said it's motif porn.
Well, that's why it's so difficult for me to like pick out individual numbers because it all just sort of blends together.
Yeah.
So seamlessly with themes reprising in other songs.
Look around, helpless, satisfied. There's a few that like are seeded throughout the whole thing. My shot, like there's so many that sort of pop back up in the melody and recur. And it's completely, again, it's done on purpose. It's to seed the emotional story of it all. And oh my god, but just again, things that stand out. Is it Philippa Sue plays Eliza? Skylar?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Again, not saying too much of the story, because everyone's like, we've told it now. It's like, no, there is a lot more. It's nearly 3 hours of your time, guys. Her number in Act 2 breaks my fucking heart. Like, her On Her Own, the one called Burn. And it's like,
On Her Own.
Oh my god. No, you know what I mean? Like, it's the first one where it's just like, no other buggers there. It's one of the very few moments in the show where it is one performer on stage.
I get you.
And you just know it's the one where the rest of the cast are like, breather, glass of water, give it a minute. Oh shit, can I go out the back door? How long have I got for a cigarette? Let's go. Come on, let's do this. Okay, I'm back out. Because that ensemble never stop. Jesus Christ, that ensemble never stop.
It's very, very physical.
The choreography's nuts.
It's very impressive.
Oh my god! Right, the choreography during "Helpless," the big first kind of like romantic-y song in Act 1.
Yeah,
and then one song later is "Satisfied," which recounts the events of that night, and the choreography plays in reverse and then goes back. But because of the revolve, some of it's happening in a different place where it was, but they're all in the same spot. They're all doing exactly what they were doing. Sometimes it slows to a crawl. It's like, how the hell?
And the use of the revolve was incredible in general. Like the way that it used it to help give motion.
It's a super minimal set, so like they have to find a way to give that, like you say, sense of motion. Oh my days! Just little things like when Hamilton goes to speak to Burr when he wants him to help defend the changes to the the Constitution and Congress.
Yes,
and suddenly you're like, wait, is that a fucking porch? You're like, no, it's not. But it's one backlight behind the set, round the bracket of the stairs, and one little lamp above the stairs that's been there the whole time. We've never noticed it, and suddenly I'm like, that's a porch. He's talking to him on a porch.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Leslie Odom Jr. to me is the MVP of the show. Burr is sort of the narrator, kind of. Like
he's I would probably say he's as much of the protagonist as Alexander Hamilton is.
And they make no attempt to hide the idea that like, and this was the reason why he wanted to tell the story Lin-Manuel Miranda in the first place, is because he noticed that these two men, their career and occasional friendships were intertwined so much throughout their life at these specific points. There was one thing I read where he described it as a what's the strand of DNA called? What's that thingy where it's
helix,
double helix, where they describe it. He said that their relationship, like if you chart it, it's like a helix because it's just sort of they go their own way and then they bump into each other and then they separate away and then they bump and it just keeps going like that until of course one very fateful occurrence. That the show states at the beginning, like if you know nothing about their history, you know exactly where it's going to go in the first number.
Yeah,
and that sort of, I think that's done intentionally because there's that little bit where they first meet with Washington, and there's a whole like, "Have you met Aaron Burr?" And he says, "Yes," and they both go, "We keep meeting," and then they keep moving on. And if you did not know what the end of their story is before that point, that would just be like a, "Oh yeah, they do," but because they set up at the beginning that. I will say it's in the first number. I'm the damn fool who shot him. The fact that they say that when they first meet Washington, you're sort of like, oh, actually, this is eerie. Yeah, they do. Their paths do keep crossing. Right to the point where they're both a second in a duel for someone's honor, and they talk about how they think this whole thing's fucking ridiculous. But Hamilton makes the point of like, but your man's got to answer for his words, Burr. And you sort of see that thing of they both think this is ridiculous and unnecessary. But Alexander's still sort of like, but we kind of have to do it. It's like, fuck, he's absolutely going to agree to this sort of thing in the future. And the use of the conditions of a duel, that when that recurs twice after that initial one.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And we haven't even touched on the room where it happened yet.
It's just seeding. But also, I think it does a really good job of sort of like making clear how sort of quid pro quo, because it's essentially the birth of modern politics, how quid pro quo modern politics is by the compromises that Hamilton has to make and the things he believes in that he has to sacrifice sticking up for in order to actually get anything done.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think it does a good job of sort of making that clear.
The way that you have career politicians as well. Like Burr is a career politician.
Yeah,
like he gets to the point.
Well, I think
he starts out saying like he starts out saying like don't was it talk less, smile more, and he's saying like don't let the lyric is don't let them know what you're against or what you're for. Because he's saying like fools who run their mouth off wind up dead. Fools who run their mouth off wind up dead. And then throughout the story, his political either allegiances or direction changes whenever he feels that he can move closer to the top or to a better position. And it becomes that thing of, do you really want to affect change and that's why you're climbing the ladder this way? Or do you just want to be successful now? Like where's the difference? And it's sort of over the course of the story, they both kind of get to that point where they're just more fussed about what other people think of them than doing the job. By the end, like it's absolutely a case of them just wanting to be like, I don't want my legacy ruined, or I want people to see me more than this, and those two tensions just parallel and bubble up, leading to like that fateful face off on in Jersey. Everything's legal in Jersey. The lighter, fluffier stuff is fucking wonderful as well. Like the love ballads, like Helpless, the mini reprieve where we sort of first see his son Philip being portrayed at age 9, like, and their way of showing that he's becoming an academic is he writes his own little rap, and
Yeah, that's quite good.
Just like, this is lovely. I hope nothing horrible happens to these people. I mean, your central group of four that you sort of the Hamilton's part of, like friends that go on through the story, are great. And then what's wonderful is all three of the other characters double up, so they play a different person in Act 2. So it still kind of feels like it's a nice sort of thing, because there's obviously a big kind of time shift of at least 10 years between Act 1 and Act 2, but you still kind of feel like you're with the same people, because they physically are still the same people on stage, even if they're playing different folks. But it gives an opportunity for an actor, like you said, DAVEED DIGGS, to go from being Lafayette to a fucking brilliant Thomas Jefferson.
Amazing Thomas Jefferson.
So good.
Yeah.
Just that, like, proper kind of, like, really smooth, like, blues pop kind of return at the top of Act 2. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just that rolling piano. And it's like, what did I miss? And all that stuff. It's like, yeah. Oh God. It's so weird. And I kind of like...
Yeah, the double...
No, go on.
The sort of trio of actors that double cast.
Yeah.
From Act 1 to Act 2 really get to show their range as performers. I think those are great parts for actors who want to be able to show off a bit about what they can do.
Especially, the Hercules Mulligan in Act 1, loud, abrasive, shouting, like really thinking. And then the character is in Act 2 is just, true. Just like really quiet and very, to the point where I didn't realize at first, I think till about 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes into Act 2, I was like, shit, it is the same guy. Because it was just...
I apologize if I get this name wrong, but it's Okerieti Onawadawan is the actor who plays Hercules Mulligan and James Madison.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's different, completely different person in the second act. Like, not just vocally in terms of the way the part's written, but also his physicality is night and fucking day.
Yeah, incredible. He's an incredible, explosive kind of character in Act 1, then Act 2 just completely sort of subdued, very proper, stood up a certain way, like quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even a bit where Jefferson like hands him to answer a question in the rap battle of the second one, and he just sort of like responds with one word very quietly. He's just like, "Yep, okay." Did you? Because you're obviously watching on Disney Plus. They left in one F-bomb, but it's one that is it's not said to the K, if that makes any sense, and it's
very cleverly.
It's a rhyme in the song, so they leave it in.
The rhyme finishes the word, so they don't.
Yeah.
There's got to be F-bombs.
There's two
Disney
others. In Hamilton itself, there are two others, but they are censored. They were told they were allowed to keep one, and the one they chose to keep was the whole reading the letter. So
it had to be. Yeah. It had to be PG-13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is fair enough, because like that one's, like you said, it ends the rhyme of that verse.
It's clever. It's a clever.
There's one that's always censored, which I had to check up afterwards, which is the when he writes in passing, he writes a letter to John Adams and he calls him, "Sit down, John, you fat and there's that massive beep. Yeah. That is like that in the show. So because I on the soundtrack that's the same. And I started digging through some older stuff, and they they were huge on Vine and Snapchat when the show was starting on Broadway, because a lot of the cast were just like sharing weird little videos from backstage, and in one of them, because people were curious, like they'd be asking like Lin-Manuel Miranda, is there a recording without the beep for that bit, and he plays it, and in the recording what he actually says is, "Sit down, John, you fat motherfuck stick." It's just a weird little... Did he do that because he knew it was going to be beep? He knew they were going to beep it, so he was just like, I'm going to say fuck stick instead. Like, why not?
Probably. Why the hell not? Do you know much about how they shot this?
Yeah, it was a 3-day shoot. They shot...
Yeah.
It was like they shot the... I don't know which days exactly, but it was something like they shot the Saturday evening performance... Something like that. Then they
shot the matinee on the 26th of June 2016.
Okay.
They shot the evening show on the 28th.
Okay, so there's a couple of days between. Yeah.
In between,
then
they did a third one without an audience.
Yeah, on their day off they did a third one. That was the one
Yeah.
that they did for the close-ups and specific
did
shots.
a lot of inserts on that.
And then they put cameras in. Oh yeah, and then the 28th was the third one. They shot it again just to make sure they had every bit of coverage.
But the fact that it is fucking seamless.
Oh yeah,
is incredible.
Yeah, phenomenal. And isn't it weird to think that like basically one day 4 years ago they sacrificed their day off.
Yeah.
To film it. All any of them really will have seen of it is like the occasional bit used for promotional use since then. Because clips from this version have been out before. Yeah. They've just been part of promotional stuff, trailers, whatnot. And it wasn't going to see the light of day till next year when it was going to get a limited theatrical run.
Well, Thomas Kail, who directed the shooting of this version, says he shot it in 3 days, but he made it over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I can see that.
So like, so much of it was done.
Yeah.
In the edit, and like,
is that music on your end?
Yeah, it's a fucking ad. Fuck off. Fucking Betfred ad.
Today's episode is sponsored by Betfred. Betfred, don't use them. Gambling's fucking toxic.
Some shit. But yeah, it 6 cameras. With different operators for the Sunday recording, and then 3 fixed cameras, and getting all those positions.
Yeah,
and then change the positions for the Tuesday performance for those fixed cameras, and just moving stuff around so you're getting as many angles as possible.
The edit takes the choreography and the staging into account in a way where, we talked earlier this year about how like the Cats movie had brand new, for the first time ever, Cats had brand new choreography specifically for the film version.
Not that you know, because fuck knows what they're...
Yeah, because the close-ups and the cuts and the edits did not serve the choreography well at all. And yet with this...
It didn't serve anything well.
With this, they've gone, no, we want you to see what it would have... as close as possible to what it would have been like seeing the original run on Broadway.
Yeah.
Like, here it is. And it's... I mean, aside from finally just getting to see Hamilton and enjoy it in context... I hope this leads to a bunch of other productions, at least sort of at their inception. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of the original runs to go, let's make it available. Let's make the original run available at some point.
Got to be expensive though.
Oh yeah,
to do.
No, true. But I think there are certain shows. I mean, like Spielberg's West Side Story is still scheduled to come out in December, and it's like.
I just don't.
I don't care, but
you know what I mean?
But if you told me that you'd like filmed like the most recent like big production of it on Broadway or the West End, and you were going to run it for a limited like couple weekend run in cinemas, or whatever, I go, sure, yeah, absolutely, let's see that. Like the RSC does it here in the UK and around Europe a lot. The Royal Shakespeare Company, like sometimes live broadcasts, sometimes it's
National
a pre-recorded one. National does it. As we've now seen, obviously during lockdown, a lot of these theatres have been putting the shows up for free with donation links or behind small paywalls online so that people can, and they really should have been doing it behind paywalls the whole time. Let's be brutally honest. They really should have been going, pay £5 and you can watch 5 shows that we put out over the next few weeks. And that £5 is going to help.
Maybe we can make the tickets a little bit cheaper while we're doing it.
Yeah, maybe. But do you know what I mean? It's because I'll be honest now, I completely see the value in sort of shattering the theatrical experience a little in this way, because I think it hooks more people in. I think after there are going to be folks who've watched this on Disney Plus.
It just makes it more accessible, and live theatre is so inaccessible for so many people.
But there'll be folks who watch this version who then just go, right, the moment that it's safe to go back and the theatres are opening, I'm going to go see anything. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to go see something. I want to go see a show. Like this has given me that kick to want to go and do it. And, fingers crossed that this, and I think because I don't think it's necessarily I mean, money of course is involved, but I don't think it's necessarily money that made the decision to bring Hamilton forward to now. Overall,
no.
At least in terms of like the people who because Disney got the rights to distribute this cut. They didn't own it. They didn't pay for it. They got the rights to it.
Yeah.
So, Lin-Manuel Miranda and the director and anybody else who's involved in the creative process of the taping of this one could have, I'm sure, gone like, no, let's keep it to next year. We want to make it an event. Here's our argument as to why we should make it an event when people go to cinemas and this, that, and the other. But you get the sense that they, like a lot of artists at this point, who have something that they can just go, sod it, here you go, guys. Like, you're all stuck at home. Time is weird. Like, take this. Like, they probably got to that point where they went, this is probably going to help theatre going forward more than it would do if we saved it.
Yeah.
Till next year to put out. So, and he mentioned recently, Lin-Manuel mentioned on the the podcast recently with John Mulaney and Nick Kroll's characters George St. Gigland and Gil Faizon Chamd, I'm sure, respectively. Their podcast, if you're not giving it a listen yet, I'm going to have to send you the links. It's wonderful. It's a short series where basically, are you familiar with those characters they play?
No, but they sound like characters they play on Big Mouth.
Holy shit. Go to Netflix tomorrow and watch Oh Hello on Broadway. It's spelt Broadway, but pronounced Broadway. Please watch it for the love of shit.
Okay, sure.
I mean, one of the jokes in the opening address to the audience is like, theatre is big right now. Hamilton. And the audience cheers, and then he goes like, and literally nothing else. But their recent podcast as those characters just wanting to have a podcast and decide they're going to tell the story, the untold story of the death of Princess Diana. And when asked by the producer they want to work with, like, why have you got a new angle on it? They're just sort of like, well, people remember, and where were you on the Diana? And they talk to different celebs and people throughout the podcast. They interview them, and one of them's Lin-Manuel Miranda. The reason I'm bringing all this up in the first place is because he mentions that they're working on a school's version of Hamilton because he'd been approached for it continuously for 5 years, not really known how to respond, and him and a co-writer have like been thinking about it, and they think they've cracked how to do it, how to make it work. Likely as it will be like a good 45 minutes shorter at the least.
I would imagine so.
Likeliness is certain plots and things will be taken out. But it's like, okay, this show is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's about to become another Oliver. It's about to become another Grease, like a show that is just in circulation that will always exist, in big theatres, in school theatres. It'll probably get to the point where it's a community theatre show that could be done at some point. There'll be versions of it they can buy for that. And it's like, it's dug its claws in. It's not going anywhere. No. The least it could do while it's here and at this moment is keep everybody interested in theatre and get them eager to like buy tickets to see things when the time's right. So I dig it. I dig it a lot.
Yeah, because it's very good.
Really fucking good.
But we should stay on the topic of DAVEED DIGGS in particular.
Yes.
Moving on from Hamilton, because after this I ended up watching, not because of Hamilton, but just by happenstance, I ended up watching the first 4 episodes of Snowpiercer on Netflix. Just by Hamilstance. Yeah. Just by Hamilstance, which stars DAVEED DIGGS in the lead, along with Jennifer Connelly. It's pretty good.
This is the second adaptation, right, of the graphic novel?
Second adaptation of the graphic novel, of the French graphic novel. I remember what the novel's called now. Transperciage, I think it's called.
The World is Trains.
It's French. The World is Trains.
Look out, everybody. Starlight Express without the singing.
For those who don't know Snowpiercer, it was made into a movie starring Chris Captain America Evans, in 2007, I think, which was directed by Boon Joon-ho, who recently won an Oscar for... Bong Joon-ho, sorry, who recently won an Oscar for Parasite. And this is another adaptation, and the concept is that
a little boy plays with his trains and all the trains can sing.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Oh.
So, in the near future, the Earth is in the grip of a ice age, which was caused by us trying to reverse global warming. We did it too well and ended up plummeting the Earth into an ice age. And humanity survives only on the 1001 carriage long Snowpiercer, constantly moving around the Earth powered by a perpetual motion engine.
Perpetual motion machine!
Yeah. And it's very much the class system, but horizontal.
Ah, nice.
With, the really rich people. The prologue of the first episode is when Snowpiercer departs, and it is basically everyone. So you got first class is the people who paid for entire carriages. Mm-hmm. So it's all the super rich people who bought the way onto the train. Second class is like not necessarily the people who were given spaces as like essential engineers and things like that.
The people who are needed for the whole thing to function.
Yeah. Third class is the actual working class. So the people who clean the toilets and police and fucking whatever.
Yeah.
And then what happened is a bunch of people forced their way onto the tail as it was departing and ended up being the tailies.
Ah.
And so they are kept in the back of shoved into the back of the train in its cargo holds that were not made for people to live in. And has sort of been and the series picks up after that 7 years after after the train left.
Yeah.
Where so basically the freeze has claimed presumably all of the life on Earth. Because it's a constant -100, below -100 outside.
So unless someone's made a really big campfire and found enough logs and are sitting in the fire.
Well, in the first 4 episodes, you do see a couple of pretty fucking catastrophic instances of what happens when outside gets in.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So it's not pretty.
Good establishing of rules.
Yes. Well, one of the punishments that's visited on the tailies by hospitality, perversely enough, is they take arms. So they put your arm in a brace.
Oh, they take arms.
They take arms.
Right.
So they put your arm in a brace, douse it in water, and stick it out of a port.
Oh.
Until it freezes solid, and then they smash it with a hammer.
Oh, no, why?
You get to see this in full loving detail in the second episode.
Good God. Why?
And there's also a punishment called the draws, in which you're put into suspended animation in a morgue-like drawer.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's what they do with the people that break rules. But there's sort of an uneasy truce between the tailies and the other passengers.
Just basically, look, you can stay here, but just don't come near us or disturb us or make anything.
Basically, they just haven't thrown them off the train yet. Like they leave them in those last couple of cars.
Yeah.
And they give them like rations of like this black protein goo.
Oh Christ!
Every day, but like it's subsistence rations, and they don't get any health care or stuff. Occasionally, they get brought up to be like third-class workers to like replace any third-class workers who might have accidents or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
they're seen as surplus.
They mention, they mentioned that there was an uprising 2 years after the train left. Mm. And that's when they took 13 arms in response. And it's kind of been cowed by then. But DAVEED DIGGS plays Andre Layton, who's one of the tailies, who is a former homicide detective.
Okay.
And basically, he gets brought out of the tail to investigate a murder in first class. Because... No, not a murder in first class, but a murder because there's no actual police on board.
Ah, okay. Oh.
Because they didn't take... None of the... Like, there's the jackboots who are like the sort of SWAT fucking enforcers who beat the tailies into submission if they do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And then there's the brakemen who are like the security. but only one of them is former police. Oh no, I think two are former police actually. And that's the chief and a brakeman called Till, who gets played by Mickey Sumner. She gets partnered up with Leighton as he sort of starts his investigation. And then you've got Jennifer Connelly playing Melanie Carville, who's the head of hospitality. And she basically runs the train for the mysterious and never seen Mr. Winford, who built the train. Mm-hmm. And but to all intents and purposes, as far as everyone else is concerned, he runs it. But you only ever see Melanie Carville doing any of the work, so you never see Winford. Not so far, anyway. So,
oh, creepy Winford.
Something's going on. And yeah, it's just it's the class system on a train, like, which is what Snowpiercer has always been. But it's DAVEED DIGGS is a hell of a lead performer. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Connelly's Jennifer Connelly. What would you want?
What do you want?
Great cast. You got like I say, Mickey Sumner as Brakeman Till. Alison Wright plays as another hospitality. She's the first class liaison called Ruth. Oh no, she's the Taylor liaison. But she spends a lot of time in the first class as well, called Ruth, and she's just a fantastically condescending bitch. She like goes down to fucking talk to the Tailies about taking an arm. Take an arm. She just like gets up on a crate to talk to them all. She's like, I don't want to be here either. Like using a native Yorkshire accent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be here either. I don't have to take arms. But somebody's got to teach you a lesson. Fucking brilliant.
Like some evil version of Corrie.
Oh, yeah.
Like Emmerdale on a train, but with murder.
But yeah, it's just... There's just a lot of stuff going on, and it's a great world-building exercise, because it's basically all in one location.
Yarb.
You get a sense of, like... You very quickly get a sense of what's going on and who everyone is, because you don't have to worry about where you are or movement from places. You get a very good sense of geography immediately, and you get to see all sorts of just the idea of a life and a working city with all its supply lines and resources and stuff packed into a single train. 1,001 cars long. There's some really good stuff in here. I don't know how the season's going to go. It's already got a season 2. It got renewed for season 2, and they started filming season 2 before season 1 aired.
Oh shit! Okay.
Because they'd had a lot of delays on season 1, and they didn't want to lose the cast.
Yeah, it's just like everyone's available now, so let's get some of it shot, and then come back and do the rest later. And
And it's one of those things, it's airing in the States week to week, and they're coming on Netflix over here, so I don't think it's finished yet. I don't think season 1's finished yet.
Okay.
And I've only seen the first 4, but it's it's really good stuff. It's a really interesting world to sort of get lost in, and the mysteries that are sort of picked at in these first 4 episodes are really intriguing. And it's one of those things that it's a sci-fi setting that absolutely engages with the question of, well, how do we solve this problem?
Yeah.
Like there's like you see like the cars where they grow fruit and vegetables, and there's an accident in one car in an early episode in which cattle go extinct.
Oh. What?
So there's an accident in the cattle car, so now cows are extinct.
Oh, right, okay.
And it is literally like
they methane themselves to death.
Yeah, something knocks against a window and the window cracks.
Oh,
and
okay.
everything in the car is near instantly frozen. It's that kind of, it's like, oh fuck. So it's that kind of that sort of juggling of resources and how do we solve these problems is a sort of constant source of tension going forward, because it is a case of like this train and the people on it are basically the only humans left.
Okay.
So there's that constant sense of danger, as well as the fact that oh yeah, someone's murdering people on this train as well. We've got a murderer.
Fantastic. If everything wasn't already in the shit, someone here is killing other people.
Yeah, but as of the end of episode 4, that plot seems to be wrapping up and then we're moving on to bigger problems. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see where it goes. And like I say, if you've seen Hamilton recently and you'd like DAVEED DIGGS, then go and watch this because he's fucking great in it. And yeah, Snowpiercer. It's good. It's good.
It pierced the snow.
It's definitely cheap because there's some CGI work on the few establishing shots of Snowpiercer going through the tundra, and there's no better way to show up CGI that you've done on the cheap by having it in broad daylight in snow. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, folks.
It's pretty fucking good. Like the cast is there, the performances are there. I think the writing's really strong. It's a good allegory. Bit on the nose sometimes, but what isn't?
Well,
I think there's nothing wrong with being on the nose.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because what I binged this week was the 2019 reboot of one of my favourite television shows ever.
I need to watch this.
Fraggle Rock. No, I love Fraggle Rock, but no.
Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rook, The Twilight Zone. The 2019 version of the show. The Rod Serling classic, resurrected in the 80s, then in the early 2000s. And now again, this time by Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Productions.
Yes.
So...
whose films we have been very enthusiastic about.
Yes. And also by Simon Kinberg, whose films we've been less enthusiastic about.
Yeah.
Bring us The Twilight Zone, 10 episodes. The second season arrived in the US 3 weeks ago in one big go on CBS All Access, but we in the UK have now finally started to be drip-fed for brief periods, the first series on Now TV and Sky.
Yeah, I feel like it was on Now TV and then was off it immediately, and then it came back on it again, and it's going off it in like 2 days, so I'm not going to have time to watch it all.
But keep an eye out for it. You're saying, sorry, first off, you said Sweet Baby Boy.
Is it more Kinberg or is it more Peele?
It's more Peele. It's definitely more Peele. Though Kinberg does direct a few episodes. How many does he do this series? He does the last one this series, and it's very well directed. So like there is a storyteller.
Unlike Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, there is a storyteller in this guy. We just haven't really seen it before.
He's screaming to get out.
But it's 10 episodes, and I'll just basically give you the basic premise of each one.
Well, I know. No, actually, I don't. The only one I know about is the sort of reimagining of Terror at 30,000 feet.
The nightmare at 20,000 feet. Sort of spiritual sequel. It's
with Adam Scott, basically.
Yeah.
It's that episode with Adam Scott. Is the premise, the base premise. I don't know where it goes from that.
It literally is that in just that sort of opening line of sort of synopsis. It's because I was curious about that.
I didn't think that they'd be so lazy as to just remake a classic episode with new actors. I thought they'd put a spin on it. The people who are working on this,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of these stories allude to past Twilight Zone stories. For those who, because a lot of our listeners are younger, like for those who genuinely don't know, the Twilight Zone is the reason why we have Black Mirror. Like it's the Mac Daddy of anthology fiction.
Anthology genre fiction specifically.
Rod Serling created it in the late 50s, and it ran for 5 full seasons and like nearly 200 episodes, and it was sublime. It was sort of like the first popular use of horror and science fiction ideas, big horror and science fiction ideas on television. Allegories for social, racial, financial divides in America and what that meant, and it's full of morals, but they're never obvious. It's the sort of storytelling where you go away thinking about what you just watched and go, oh yeah,
There was time now. It isn't fair.
That one gets a big ass shout out in the series. All the time in the world gets a big ass shout out in the series. But it's absolutely superb. And as Matt's mentioned, one of the most notable episodes was Nightmare at 20,000 Feet as being like one of the first kind of big TV uses of William Shatner. He plays a passenger on a plane. Who already
the big TV use of you making like a prop?
Well, come on, let's face it.
I mean, basically,
he's a slab of ham. In more ways than one.
Willie Ham
Shatner, and Willie Ham Shankner, and he
my best.
He's a man who's terrified of flying, and during a flight, he sees something on the wing. And he can't shake the air. No, he doesn't say it like that. Ace Ventura says,
I know he doesn't.
You swine.
I know.
He sees something on the wing and he can't shake the idea that there's something out there on the plane. If that sounds familiar to our younger listeners who've never seen The Twilight Zone, it's because you've seen Treehouse of Horror 4 in The Simpsons. Because the same thing, Nightmare at 4.5 Feet, I think it's called, and it's Bart on the school bus with the gremlin on the school bus. That is a far too close to the original homage to what the Twilight Zone episode was about. It's amazing. Like I think we must have watched a couple Twilight Zones together before. If not, I know we did our quiz last year where I presented you with a series of stories to see whether they were real or not.
I think we were planning to do some commentaries with them.
We will. We'll make it happen.
But because of obvious, we've not been able to get back together yet, so we haven't been able to get that off the ground.
We'll figure a way. But it's this. I mean, episodes I absolutely love. There's one called The After Hours. There's Cliff Robertson. Again, younger viewers, Uncle Ben, and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Like, gives a fucking spectacular lead performance in a story called The Dummy. Oh my god, it's which
I'm sure you loved.
Come on, they have 2 ventriloquist doll stories in 5 seasons. They also gave birth to the porcelain doll being evil. Talkie Tina comes from the Twilight Zone. There's an episode starring Telly Savalas, freaking Kojak himself.
Who loves you, baby?
Where the doll in the house is like he hears this doll with the pull string threaten him, threaten his life, and as the story goes on, it's like. Is he insane? Is he projecting onto this thing? Like, what is going on? Again, inspired one of the best episodes of Sabrina ever. The one with the Molly Dolly, the second Halloween episode for Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. Like, it just, it's the same sort of thing. There's one called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street that is about, essentially, like, at the time, like, Cold War paranoia. And a neighborhood starts to eat itself alive out of like paranoia that everyone is out to get everyone else in the street, and it's just this growing sense of dread and anger, and it's like, oh, this is so fucking good, because it is. But here's the basic premise and my essentially sort of tiny review of each episode for this series. If you're watching on Now TV, if you manage to binge it in the day that it'll still be up when you hear this, or if you catch it the next time it's on Now TV.
Do keep them tiny because we've got to do emails.
Yeah, this is the watch order. It's wrong on Now TV. I know it's anthology. It doesn't matter, but the last episode is the last episode for a fucking reason, and it's weird that they put them out of order. So, the comedian stars Kamal Nanjiani as a comedian who's sort of one of the feature performers at this club. He's not really hitting it out of the park anymore.
Kamal Nanjiani.
Mid-ripped Kamal Nanjiani.
All right.
Like, he's in a t-shirt in like 2 scenes, and you're like,
now you have my attention.
You're getting your Eternals bod at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you can see the bod forming. But he's a comedian. He's not quite knocking out the park as well as he used to. He feels his material's not working. His girlfriend's put all of her...
Is this the episode?
This is the episode.
Is this you describing Kamal Nanjiani?
The episode.
Got him.
His girlfriend played by Amara Karan, who when I saw her, I was like, oh my god, I recognize her. What do I recognize her from? She was the companion that we wished was a companion, Rita, in the Doctor Who episode The God Complex. You know, the one in the hotel with the Minotaur.
Yes.
Yeah, she's really fucking good in this as well. But like, she's been supporting him as best she can, and it's just not like, he's hit a rut. And then he effectively is told last night by legendary comedian J.C. Wheeler, played by Tracy Morgan, who's sort of been off the circuit for a couple of years, but is like, he's basically like, he's 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 Eddie Murphy at the height of his fame. He's Dave Chappelle. He's that kind of like notoriously like famous, like everyone worships the ground he walks on kind of comedian. And he just turns around and he says like, you need to make it about you. And then your classic deal with the devil kind of scenario comes around. He starts telling Samir, the character, starts telling jokes about things in his life. And they hit. They're a hit. It works. He spitballs and everything's fantastic. It's all working out. Tells jokes about his dog. Then goes back to his apartment that night. And they don't have a dog.
Ooh.
Only he remembers his dog. So it becomes a fucking brilliant story about what are you willing to throw under the bus for success and happiness, personal happiness. It's freaking great. And you think of that idea and you're like, that could be pretty dark. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. So yeah, I love the comedian. It was one of my favorites of the series. Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, starring Adam Scott, sort of a spiritual sequel to Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. And like William Shatner and John Lithgow in the movie version, before him, Adam Scott has the role of a passenger on a plane who's getting paranoid, specifically a journalist who's had a nervous breakdown recently. And his wife thinks it's too early for him to get on this plane. And he's just, he talks to a guy who used to be a pilot who's sitting on the plane with him. And he sort of notices a few slightly odd-looking characters and people amongst the plane, but he's okay. He's fine. He'll make it through. He rummages in his seat to put some stuff in, the pocket in front of him, and finds an old MP3 player, big chunky iPod-looking motherfucker. And the only thing on it is a True Mysteries, True Crime podcast. So he begins to listen. And the story is of the disappearance of the Northern Gold Star Airlines flight 1015, which is the flight he's on. So it becomes a story of someone who's just gone through a big psychological breakdown, being aware that something's going to happen to the flight he's on and no one believes him, and him trying to unfurl what he can do to prevent the events from happening. So it's not something on the wing, although there's a brief little nod to that, and there's also a girl who's got a little sort of squishy cuddly toy, which you see briefly in the episode, and if you look at its face, it's the gremlin from the original. So it's like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
But it's pretty damn.
I like
it's
that.
pretty damn great. If you're only going to watch one, I'd say that'd probably be the one. If you're going to watch just one this series, because it's like, oh, that's very quintessential Twilight Zone, and it's pretty sweet. Replay. This is one of my absolute favorites, maybe my favorite of the series. This stars Sana Lathan. Yeah, already quality. She is sending her son, going to be driving her son off to college, and she's filming everything on the camcorder that she's had since she was a kid. No matter how knackered and old it is, her son's like, just film on your iPhone, Mom. She's like, no, we always do this. I filmed your first your first steps and your first swim and your first day of school on this. I'm going to film it on this. She discovers over the course of their diner breakfast that every time she hits rewind on the camera, she rewinds time. We're into Life is Strange logic here, because what follows is a series of different attempts at the journey to his college campus, each one resulting in the same white cop pulling them over or confronting them, and her son being put in danger or being fatally wounded. Yes, and I mean, again, doing what the Twilight Zone does best, and incredibly resonant this past week watching it, considering the events of the last 2 months and the ongoing experience of being black in any country, but particularly in America. Yeah. This is fucking excellent, and Sana Lathan's performance in this is my favorite performance in the whole series. So worth watching. That one's called Replay, and I think that's probably that's your first 10 out of 10 in the series. All right. A Traveller, an Alaskan police station. They're having their Christmas Eve tradition where the sergeant is going to pardon one of the minor offence prisoners in the station, like someone who's just been a bit drunk or rowdy that night or whatever. And all the cops are sharing gifts, and the mayor's hanging out, and they're all celebrating the new power station that's opened up tourism to the area, because it's like a big army base and power station sort of combo thing, and all this is wonderful. And our main sort of cadet, what's her name? Her name is Yuka. She brings her brother Jack in to be the prisoner because they've not got anyone in the cells and he's a bit drunk. So she's like, just go along with it. You'll be out in half an hour. You can have some cake. Like, it'll be great. When she goes to collect him, there's another guy in there. A guy whose name is legally a traveler, who's wearing a suit, claims to be a YouTube famous, like world touring, backpacking guy. He's got this really stylish state-of-the-art phone. And he's like, I'm just looking for forgiveness, and I just want to talk to you as chief, and it's all going to be great. And as the night goes on, you realise he knows an awful lot about everybody here at this place. And his arrival may or may not tie into the blackouts that the power station has been having over recent weeks. This one's a little sloppy. This one's a little sloppy in its telling, but visually is one of the most interesting ones in the series. And has a very its ending is the only ending that's kind of like, oh, that's very Twilight Zone-y, in not necessarily the best way, but in a way where you're like,
so Twilight.
Exactly, but in a way where you're like, they were going to do one like this. Of course they were, but still kind of fun.
Okay.
The Wonder, who's fucking great, plays campaign manager Raph Hanks, and his campaign run for the president to get elected to a second term fails spectacularly, and the president really pins it on him. His career's in the shit. Suddenly, a couple of years later, a young boy called Oliver goes viral because he announces his candidacy for president, that he wants to run for president. And Raph is like, people's response to this kid's viral video is like warm and fuzzy, and it makes them smile. And he's like, fuck it, like, this is it. And he goes to the parents and he's like, I'm going to help your kid run for president. Like, they're like, look, you know it's not going to be serious. And he went, no, of course it isn't. And you know I'm an opportunist, but that's the point. I get my career back. Your kid spreads a wonderful message of just like being nice to people, to everybody, like he's already doing. We give it a bigger platform, and this ends with him. Yeah, Jacob Tremblay. This ends with him. Ducking out,
Tremblay.
and you'll have enough money to put him and his sister and your dog through college, for Christ's sake. Like, let's do this. It'll be wonderful. And they're like, okay, we'll go along with it. And what begins is sort of like, oh, isn't this cute? This kid's running for president.
Okay.
Gradually progresses and keeps escalating, and things aren't as fluffy and as gentle as they seem on the surface. When everything starts showing up Oliver. It's intercut with somewhere in the present, because this is in the past, somewhere in the present, Raph on what appears to be an operating table, trying to recall the events of the previous year. Fuck, this is good. And has got one of the most visually interesting sort of ending shots of it. Jordan Peele, as the producer of the show, takes over the Rod Serling role and the Forrest Whitaker role of the 2000s reboot, where he narrates the opening and the closing. Sometimes he's in shot, sometimes it's just audio narration. And the final shot of this is so soundstagey, old school TV. It's beautiful. The Wonderkind, rate that one highly too. That is great. 6 Degrees of Freedom. This was the weak link for me. This one was the one that made me go a bit, interesting cast. DeWanda Wise, Jessica Williams, Jefferson White, Lucinda Dryzek, and Jonathan Whitesell. It's a 5-hander. Spaceship's about to leave Earth. It's a voyage to Mars. Just as they're about to leave, nuclear war breaks out on Earth.
Awesome.
And they leave. And it's that terrifying thing of, we were thinking we were going to miss our families, and now we don't even know if our families are alive anymore. But we've got an 8-month journey to Mars. We're going to carry on. We'll try each day to communicate with Earth and see if we get a response. So already, so far so Prometheus. It's so far so Gravity. Like it's every kind of like horror version of a NASA story ever.
So far, so the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yes. Especially when one crewman, Jerry, who's the most sort of logical one of the bunch, starts to notice some inconsistencies with their scenario. Are they actually en route to Mars? Or did they even leave Earth in the first place? Again, very Twilight Zone-y kind of wrap-up. Like archetypal Twilight Zone-y kind of wrap-up. just not the strongest for me. I feel like I don't know. It needed something. Maybe the direction just needed to be a little bit more punchy. The Cloverfield Paradox was bullshit, but even the Cloverfield Paradox it still felt like it was moving and stuff was happening. And I
didn't know what was happening or which direction it was moving in. But...
Yeah. Speaking of Cloverfield Paradox, one of its stars returns in an episode in a couple episodes' time.
Okay, cool.
Not All Men. This is another holy shit. This is incredible. So, Taissa Farmiga plays a woman called Annie, who's a reporter, and she's working with a laboratory, a chemistry company, and she's been assigned there to sort of help develop the reports and everything for it with the bosses. And she and her boss Dylan start to get a little bit close. They get home. There's me, kiss me, schmooze. What do you say? She feels it's moving a little too fast though. On the same night, a bunch of meteors strike their small town. And they find one and they take it in, and isn't it funny? Oh, there it is on the mantle. Oh, what a laugh! Oh, that's kind of cool, isn't it? This is a sign. We should totally give this a try. She starts to feel like he's imposing a little too much, and after he's seemingly a little bit more aggressive than he was 5 minutes ago, he apologizes and she leaves. Although before leaving, she turns around to see him smashing up his record player in rage behind her. She meets up with her sister for her sister's birthday, and her brother-in-law's a big goofball jock kind of guy. And isn't this fun? Ha ha ha! Aren't we having a nice time? He he tee he he. Then all the men in town. Then all the men in town start behaving incredibly violently.
Okay.
Toward each other, toward anyone nearby.
Okay.
Sounds a bit on the nose. Kinda is.
Oh God! How dare anyone convince?
No. But it's on the nose because it's because this is true, motherfuckers.
Yeah. How dare anyone accuse the Twilight Zone of being on the nose?
Well, that's the thing. It was always a lot more.
The allegorical,
but it was
anthology show of record.
It's always been more allegorical. It's always been more allegorical. In a sense where it is woven in, whereas in this series there's been a couple stories already that I've described to you that you're like, they're just putting the moral or the social commentary right at the front. This is what it's about. But I
honestly think there are plenty of people who just won't fucking get it if you don't.
They're prepared for that. So Not All Men is great. It's a really good sort of essentially rage zombie movie. It's disturbing. It has one of the creepiest moments in the whole series involving someone singing "Happy Birthday to You," lighting candles whilst covered in the blood of a man he just bludgeoned to death on the lawn. Not All Men is fucking great.
Did you ever see Mom and Dad?
I never did. No, but this is.
Samuel Blair.
I know the premise. This is very much that. Yeah. Point of origin. Eve Martin, played by Jennifer Goodwin. Rats out. She's a very, very, very rich woman. She's a stay-at-home mother / socialite housewife. She has 8-year-old twin girls. Her husband's a big city lawyer, and their housemaid. Who is called? Let me get the name right. Anna.
I'd just like to say that I'm following along on IMDb with these episodes which are coming up, and the first review on all of them has been like a terrible review going, "Oh, why is it political?"
Because it always freaking was, guys. Again, stick with me.
I know. I get you.
No, stick with me. The show is prepared for that. Her housemaid and nanny Anna is ratted out to the authorities because of her illegal immigrant status, and it's because Eve was just slightly paranoid that she might show her up, despite her being a part of the family, as she keeps saying, for 11 years now. Eventually, ICE take Anna away, and then HSI. What's that organization called again? U.S. Immigration and Customs, Homeland Security Investigations. Take the whole family in.
Okay.
And then eventually let the twin girls and the husband go and keep Eve. And then put her in essentially immigration lockup. And she begins to learn that maybe she isn't so different from the people that she's been looking down on. Maybe everyone comes from somewhere else originally. and that somewhere else isn't necessarily in this world.
Yeah, I get you.
Not one of the strongest, because it's just sort of a bit like, I don't know. I feel like they could have pushed it a little more. This might have served better as a longer episode, like an hour and a half one maybe, because it feels like it has some really big ideas, and they don't go with them all the way, but still very good, really enjoyable. There's a certain moment where Anna just says to her, "What is the name of my grandson?" Keep in mind, this is a woman that Eva's had in her life for 11 years. You can guess where that moment goes. The Blue Scorpion. Holy shit. This is quintessential Twilight Zone. Chris O'Dowd plays a depressed like uni professor who's recently started going through divorce proceedings against sort of his better judgment, but his wife eventually confesses to him, "Look, I'm in love with someone else, I'm sorry." But she wants to split everything, like, less than equally, so he's having to fight that. He's moved back in with his dad for the time being. His dad used to be a roadie and is a massive, weed smoker and a hippie till I die. But he comes home to find his dad has killed himself. Shot himself in the face with a gun that Jeff, our main character played by Chris O'Dowd, didn't even know his dad owned. After a little bit of investigation whilst clearing out his dad's things, he finds the case for the gun inside a lit safe, a safe that is lit up at all times on the inside. And there's only one bullet remaining in that box, and the bullet says Jeff. So, coupled with his father's suicide note, which read, "I always loved him more than you," which was left for Jeff to find, Jeff starts to wonder why the fuck this bullet has his name on it. Until he encounters someone on the street called Jeff. His wife's lawyer's called Jeff. His wife's new boyfriend is called Jeff. The guy at the gun range, which he goes to fire the bullet to finally get rid of it, like just get rid of it by firing it at a range, is called Jeff. Not only that, the gun is a famous piece that is only really known to high-end collectors, called the Blue Scorpion, named after the painted decor on the handle of the gun itself. A gun which apparently is frightened of the dark and has never been bought, but it's always found an owner. This is so good, and I always forget. I'm still one of those people, despite being an actor, I always forget whenever I see Chris O'Dowd in something, oh shit, yeah, this guy does drama. Because I'm so used to him being a comedy character or a comedy actor. Yeah. That whenever he rocks up in something like, Cloverfield Paradox or this, I go, fuck, you are good. You are really good. He gives one of the best performances of the series. Again, if you have to pick one, this is another I'd recommend. Finally, Blurry Man. You have to watch this last. And I'm going to spoil the premise ever so slightly, but not the entire episode. The premise is
spoiled by the fact that I've just gone on it on IMDb. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
So what begins with an episode where a writer writes about the apocalypse and then finds out that it's happening outside his window. Jordan Peele, as the narrator, begins to set up the episode before breaking character, turning to the camera and going, I'm just not feeling this one. Can we do a rewrite? We realise that this story takes place on the set of the 2019 series of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Where the scriptwriter, the two actors in the episode, Seth Rogen and Betty Gabrielle, are sort of now waiting around to start picking up the shoot. Jordan Peele's going to get a makeup touch-up, and he talks to Sophie, who's the writer of this episode, played by Zazie Beetz. Wonderful Zazie Beetz. She's been a Twilight Zone fan all of her fucking life. She grew up watching the reruns like crazy. Like, she was always so passionate about it. And this episode in particular is about art versus sort of education. Like, we need to have a moral. Like, we need to have a moral. That's what this has to be about. Like, art versus entertainment versus education. What place does each of these things hold? And Jordan Peele says, like, why does it have to be an either or situation? Why can't they all be one and the same? She essentially feels that the series they've been making is too on the nose and too upfront. With its messages. Like, it's almost like each episode is going, here is the thing we want you to think about. And she feels that that's wrong based on the show that she idolized from her youth. but as a weird blurred outline, in the back of shots of all the previous episodes in the edit, starts to appear in the dailies for the new episode that they're filming.
All right.
And people think Sophie may or may not have something to do with it. Is this a prank? Have you got a friend on set to try and like muck about with a shoot just because you're unhappy? Come on.
All right.
Sophie's about to learn on one very uncomfortable night alone in the studio that maybe times are changing. And maybe it's time to be on the nose because that's what the people of today need to have put in front of them to listen to a show whose legacy has always been about trying to teach you things with horror, with science fiction, with fiction.
Excellent.
It's about the legacy of the Twilight Zone. It's about why the show feels a little different now.
Well, it's being made 50 years later.
Yeah.
Of course it feels different.
Yeah, the audiences of the 50s and the 60s were watching their episodes and they were thinking about it more. They were talking about it at work the next day. They were discussing it with the family around the dinner table. Audiences today consume stuff so much that maybe you need to slap them in the face with the idea up front of what you want to get across in your story. And maybe that's not a bad thing. And this is one that it works best as an end of the season watch. Like, it absolutely has to be the last one, not just because it has little callbacks to all the previous 9 episodes, particularly with footage of them with this unusual silhouette in the back of shots, which you then start to think, wait, was that there? Was that shape behind Kumail Nanjiani in the first one? Like, was it? Not only that, it's also the first episode that just flat out is like, this is our love letter to the show we're rebooting. And it's it's really, 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 really good. I dug this show a lot. I finished it and immediately was like, right, which episode of the original 5 series am I going to put on now? Like, I just want to put one on. It's got like 4 hours left on Now TV by the time this episode goes up, so wait for it to return, guys, or keep an ear and an eye out for an eventual actual physical or digital release here in the UK. But and if we know it's gone back, we'll absolutely let you know in the podcast if it's returned to the catch-up service. I'm so happy with it, and now I'm just annoyed that we don't know when we're getting series 2 when America got it 3 weeks ago in one go. So yeah, I'm delighted. Like you with Snowpiercer, okay. I'm like, yes, more please. Keep going. Keep doing this. Give me more. The only thing that can make it better is if Daveed Diggs had starred in an episode, and then I'll be happy.
Hey, there's still time.
Still time. There was time now, which gets a massive shout out in the last episode. I've never been so excited to see a camera pan down to reveal a broken pair of spectacles. Yeah. Sorry about the ramble, but we've watched some lovely things and we wanted to tell you about them.
Yeah, cool. And now we're going to do some emails.
Hit me with your emails. Fire away.
So,
I just heard my wife laughing through the wall through earphones, and I'm slightly unnerved.
Frequently emailing Doctor Who person Sam has returned.
We've been through the wilderness years, and Sam's back at the other end.
With 2 little missives.
Oh.
The first being, hello, little email. Or should that be, hello, little email? I don't know which one that should be. I just realised that Guy Lambert is John Nathan Turner.
Oh? What?
No, he isn't.
No, he isn't.
Next one.
No, he isn't. In fact, Guy Lambert, occasional collaborator with our project, surely the first connection you should make if you wanted to associate him with the producer of Doctor Who would be a Lambert of some kind, maybe. Yeah.
Truly, also, she was the true Lambert.
Yeah. Also, I've never seen him in a Hawaiian shirt, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well.
Like Daveed Diggs.
Never seen him out of a Hawaiian shirt.
Like Daveed Diggs in the Twilight Zone. There's time. There was time.
And then, continuing on from that, but on a completely different bent, because honestly, reading these emails, Sam, I get whiplash from trying to follow your train of thought.
Like Snowpiercer.
Yeah. 1001 cars long. Good day, my mayors of my life and happiness. No, we're not elected officials of anyone's mental state. It me. I am back from my trip to the death zone. In the zone, I was throwing dead bodies into a murker after that I had reached the tomb of Rastalon. I hope that next time I go to my holiday home, I will not die. Sure. So now I'm back and I have 5 new DVDs. The Keys of Marinus, The Aztecs, The Talons of Weng Chiang, The Caves of Androzani, and the TV movie. Today, TV movie, special edition. Special features are 2 commentaries. Is this the Amazon? Did you just copy the Amazon product description? That's what you did. One with the director and one with Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann.
Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, my favourite composite actor.
The plot, the Doctor is taking the Master to Gallifrey, but the Master has forced the TARDIS, of course. And the TARDIS arrives in San Francisco on New Year's Eve in 1999, but some men shot the Doc later in the morgue. The Doctor wakes up a new man, but he's acting misses the Master again, has a new body as the clock counts. Down, Doctor is new bread, stop the Master, it's gone! Sorry, there's no punctuation this at all. McGann is great in this. The 24 minutes of Sylvester is okay. I always dress with... Sorry, I cut off. It looks like I'm going back to the Death Zone again. I love the Lake of Blood. It's so red. Goodbye, my dears. What the hell are you talking about? What? What are you saying? What?
Oh, jeez. You broke him, Sam. You broke him. He's gone. He's gone, Sam. You killed him. Pickled in time.
I don't know what...
They'll be driven insane.
I don't know what I'm reading. I don't know what I'm reading. This one's slightly more coherent. This one comes in from Alistair. It says, Dear Benton, which is me, and Benson, which is you.
All right, okay.
I have recently been trying to get into comic books. Just open them. Read the pages, turn the pages.
If the pages are stuck together, maybe ask the person who gave them to you why.
Sometimes they come bagged and boarded, but you just have to lift up the flap and pull them out. It's fine. And I've been recommended the Marvel Ultimate Universe, particularly Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not a bad show. I have fond memories of playing Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the PS2, and collecting the comic book covers really warming me to the art style. One big concern I have is the black cloud that hangs over the Ultimate Universe, Ultimatum.
No.
Is it still worth reading through Ultimate Marvel, knowing how it all ends up? Or are there other runs in the 616 that are worth reading instead? Look forward to hearing from you, Sergeant. Alistair. P.S. Hamilton is great, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, Hamilton is great.
To be honest, Ultimatum's not the end of the Ultimate Universe.
Ultimatum's... I think in the grand scheme of things, Ultimatum's not even really the halfway point of the Ultimate Universe.
No, we have Ultimatum, and then not too long after that, we have... One second, what's the name of it? I can't see it, but there's one with Galactus in it. And then after that is Secret Wars, which is officially where the Ultimate Universe actually ends.
Yeah, that's where it properly ends.
But
I think the best thing to do is...
just follow the spiders. Like Harry and Ron, follow the goddamn spiders.
Read Ultimate Spider-Man.
Stick with Peter chronologically. Stick with Miles chronologically. And if you can't say goodbye to him after Secret War, leap into Miles' 616 books.
And if there's a character that you like in the Ultimate Universe, then look for a modern run of them in the 616. And if it's a particularly recent run, like in the last 5 years, they'll probably have integrated elements of whatever the Ultimate version was into the 616 version.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ultimatum isn't the end.
No,
of 616,
it's also not worth paying full price for, like recommended retail price for.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be find a secondhand copy of it for cheap if you really do want to go, fuck it, I'm diving in, why not? Because it is awful. Ultimatum is awful, but it's like, it's so glaringly awful that there is entertainment value to be derived from it. The other option is go to Comic Pop's YouTube channel and watch their back issues on Ultimatum.
Or
Sal will tell you the whole story.
if you've got a bit of money, buy a year's worth of Marvel Unlimited and just read them at your leisure, because all the Ultimate stuff's on there.
What's it at now? Is it like $59.99 or something for the year?
It's like $60 for a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So not a lot at all.
Whatever's on there
for how much.
All
you
the
get
Ultimate stuff will be on there.
Yeah.
Certainly all the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff. I don't know if the Ultimate Marvel Team Up stuff's on there actually. But
AKA here's extra Ultimate Spider-Man stories, but we're going to make them really hard to get hold of. I have the massive trade paperback collection of all the Ultimate Team Ups, and even I have to be like, so when the fuck do I read these, and when the fuck do I forget that any of them happened because they're all non-canon except for the lizard one?
The trick is just don't read them.
But they're fun.
Just don't read them.
The Fantastic Four one's layered with Easter eggs. The lizard one's a great horror story.
It's like Ultimate Adventure. Just don't read it.
But the Man-Thing issue's really good.
Did you ever read Ultimate Adventure?
No. But I read the shit out of Ultimate Team Up.
The one with the Batman and Robin pastiche.
No, I never did. Oh,
it's not good.
Oh.
It's not good.
Oh, so this is why I didn't get into the Ultimate events after a certain point, and I just stuck to Spidey.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the early ones because it was one of the. Remember when there was that period where there's like 3 dueling books, and it was like Ultimate Adventure, Trouble, and Marvel.
I heard of them, but I never got any of them. Yeah,
it was like from that period. It was early Ultimate stuff because it was when it still had the unified branding of the sidebar title.
Yeah. So it couldn't have been any later than Ultimates Volume 2. Then it could have been any later.
Oh, it was way before Ultimates Volume 2.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like probably around the time of Ultimates Volume 1, if not a little earlier.
Hulk kill Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes, Hulk do kill Freddie Prinze Jr. So, yeah.
Yes, Hulk do kill Freddie Prinze Jr.
Read Ultimate Spider-Man.
These are words we just said.
Fuck me. Read Ultimate Spider-Man, and if you like any of the characters in the Ultimate Universe, then you want to read more of them, have a look for the 616 versions. This one comes in from Jack.
Jack, the man with the backpack.
Hello, my lovelies. My last email was just as the coronavirus pandemic put us all into lockdown. Since then, I have been saving your videos for one big binge, which I'm going through right now. Whilst writing this, I am watching your 4th anniversary.
Hey! Oh.
Today on the 14th of... serious note.
Oh.
Today on the 14th of July, I was sad to hear the news that Grant Imahara of Mythbusters fame passed away.
Yeah.
Mythbusters was a great part of my childhood and continues its legacy for me today with Adam Savage's Tested. Do you have any fond memories or such with Mythbusters? I have lovely fond memories of Mythbusters. Back when in the early days of Netflix, I used to watch that shit all the time. I can't... I've lost count of the number of times I've watched the first 3 seasons of Mythbusters. Because that's all that was on Netflix.
Yeah, early Netflix was mostly just random American TV shows, guys. Matt watched the shit out of them.
Yeah. Grant Imahara, great loss. Was only 49.
Yeah, he was young.
Brain aneurysm. Just out of nowhere. Also, not to forget that apart from Mythbusters, he was also a special effects artist and did work on various Star Wars projects. And I believe he was involved in the Mandalorian.
Yeah, well,
I think he did some. Let me just look up some of his credits.
That's right.
Because he had quite an involvement in some really interesting stuff.
His out of Mythbusters stuff is what I'm most familiar with because I have to thank him for something that has given me so much joy over the last 3 years in particular. Because over the last 3 years, I've finally kind of discovered the magic that was the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
He created
Jeff Peterson. Jeff Peterson. The prop. He not only created it, he improved it and maintained it. Craig Ferguson now has the Jeff prop in his house. And I think he mentioned on Twitter the other day that Grant checked in on it as recently as 1.5 years ago. Oh. Even though obviously Craig doesn't use it, it's just sat there, but it's just, making sure it's okay. And that prop and the work that Josh Robert Thompson, who played Jeff for the bulk of the run, where he was a sentient character and not just some catchphrases in a soundboard, and the stuff that Josh Robert Thompson and Craig Ferguson did with this character is some of the funniest shit I have ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And I highly encourage anybody who likes good comedy and hates James Corden to go to YouTube and just look up like Craig Ferguson Jeff Geoff, and watch just compilations of these two characters interacting. Holy shit. And it makes you realize that, like, wow, this is the show that stopped so that Corden could host it and just do a shit version of Graham Norton and steal Reggie Watts from Comedy Bang Bang. What the fuck is this? Like, oh my god. I think I've shown you the Careful Icarus thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's very good.
Some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. And that's down to Grant creating that prop. And because Craig always wanted a robot skeleton army, so Grant made him a robot skeleton and he got one and it became a big part of the show. So
as a model maker, that was his primary sort of work in special effects. Worked on all three of the Star Wars prequels. Worked on AI.
Oh shit!
On Galaxy Quest.
Now you've said that, I can see it.
World.
Oh damn!
Worked on Terminator 3.
Fuck.
Worked on the Matrix sequels. Worked on Van Helsing. So like a lot of like early 2000s like genre effects heavy stuff. Did some great work on that, you know.
I mean, some of the Android... I know AI is a bit of an odd one. Like, I'm not a big fan of the film overall, but like some of the Android designs in that, especially like the discarded androids and stuff. Like, yes, I can absolutely see his hand in that. Probably quite literally in a few shots, I imagine.
So...
Make that bit move, Grant. Make it move.
I believe that's probably where he met Adam Savage, because Adam Savage worked on...
AI?
Prequels, episode 1. Worked on...
so that's probably where Mythbusters was born.
Yeah, because they're all visual effects artists. So, in lighter news, I have also continued with my Doctor Who watch through, and I have just finished Mind Warp, the second story of the Trial of the Time Lord. All I have is this to say: Brian Blessed, why did nobody tell me about this? I wish you could have seen my face when I saw my favourite booming-voiced Monty Python god Santa lying on the operating table. Would you like to see Brian come back into Doctor Who? Abso-fucking-lutely. I know I would.
Not as the same character, just as some random shouting creature.
I know I would, perhaps in a role that's a bit less Warrior King who doesn't know better and clearly wearing a Japanese-inspired costume, which is quite questionable. Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Lucky Brian, though, he ends up with Nicola Bryant. Unlucky Nicola Bryant, she ends up with Brian.
Yeah, all right. That's one of the fucking most egregious exits for a companion. It's so
I don't know. Doing our marathon, there's at least 3 other occasions where it's just, I'm going to stay behind. Why? Because I found love. Oh, no. All right, bye.
And that's the most egregious thing, because it just literally comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not bringing Perry back. Banging Nicanos. Okay.
She's gonna live on an alien planet now and shag Brian Blessed. Bye. He's like, wait, what?
Cool, also, this Thursday is my 18th birthday. Happy birthday to you!
Happy birthday! Buy yourself a brand new hat or a second-hand one, just whichever suits you.
Just don't go to the pub, and if you leave the house, wear a mask. I'm both excited.
I know you're 18, but have your first drink at home. Don't risk your life. There we go. That's our birthday song.
I'm both excited and scared, but mostly because it means that my time in university will start soon. Now, that is exciting and scary. But it's going to be great.
Scary.
Keep on keeping on, my big damn boys.
Bless your eyes.
Jack followed up, just as a reminder, with also a fuck off Google. Last one.
You rang.
Last one comes in from Twitch regular Chewy Mort. Always a friendly handle, not really face, because, well, I can see their face now because I've got their email. But not on Twitch, so they're just a friendly handle. Good evening, Messrs. Johnson and not Johnson. No relation. Inspired only slightly by a certain other pop culture podcast featuring hosts of a regional dialect, please talk about your fan casts for future Transformers properties. For instance, as magnificent as Peter Cullen is, perhaps Matt Berry for Daddy Optimus? Alternatively, Matt Berry quotes in a Peter Cullen impression. Gems such as, "Speak, priest." Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Please, dress up as my sexy dead wife.
Ray Purchase, you are the most homophobic actor in all of London. What is this? Gay for pay?
I don't like to see grown men kissing toast. I don't see what the fuck it's got to do with you.
Who can forget? You malnourished pimp with your World War I facial hair and your sister's clothes.
Sister's clothes.
I don't hate it.
That woman has a way with words, and some of those words really fuck me up.
Matt Berry as Optimus Prime. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Autobots, transform and roll out.
No, his Optimus wouldn't say that. He'd just go, bat! Just
No,
turn
he
into
wouldn't say
trucks.
bat, he'd say truck.
Truck!
Well, what do you do? A booby trap that actually catches boobies. Yes, that is a line from an episode of the
That is a
cartoon.
line.
It's
That is
pretty
a
fucking
line.
great.
That's a true thing.
A booby
Oh,
trap that
God.
actually catches boobies. Fan casts for future Transformers. I really want. I
Are
really
we
want.
talking casting the Transformers?
I think so,
casting
yeah.
them? Eric Andre as every Transformer.
Andre.
I'd watch the shit out of that. You kidding me? It'd be amazing.
You have to be
No,
like
fuck
someone
it.
who was
Fuck
super
it.
fucking energetic. So like
DAVEED Diggs as every Transformer.
DIGGS is every Transformer. Can we have? Can we have Dan Harmon as Bird Person doing Soundwave?
And what would that sound like, man?
Ravage. Eject. Operation. Spying.
Sure.
Lord
Are we going to put a
Megatron.
filter on his voice at all?
Nope.
Or... No, just
Nope.
ask.
I don't want to let Justin Roiland anywhere near the fucking thing because I'm sick of
No.
hearing his two voices. that
I was
he
going to say,
does.
no, let him play.
Um,
Let him play Optimus and Megatron.
no.
It's
No.
like, I'm going to defeat
No,
you,
no,
Megatron.
hate it, hate
Ooh,
it, hate it.
We Optimus Prime.
In any other context than Rick and Morty, when I hear Justin Roiland's voice, I just go,
Earl of Lemon Grab.
okay, all right, fair.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Um,
Can I
subject-
fancast Transformers?
where do we want to put John DiMaggio in on the subject of Adventure Time? Who should John DiMaggio be? He should be a down
Bender.
and
Just Bender.
just Bender. He should be like a
Just
down
Bender.
and dirty Autobot, like I don't know, like Ironhide or something.
Bendertron.
Bendertron. Yeah.
You look for the old spark, I'll look for the booze. It's just like chugging instead. I want to fan cast it with other sentient vehicles from different franchises.
All right.
I
Who's Kit
think
playing?
I think that we should let them play. You know,
All
so
right.
Kit, Thomas the tank engine, Herbie the helicopter, Brum.
Thomas doesn't have a voice.
Shut up. He will do now. He'll be voiced by Ringo Starr. Brum has got to get up in that piece. Obviously, the cab from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, of course. Come on, the
What's
entire cast of the Pixar movie Cars.
I've got to see what the cast is for that Netflix show because that Netflix show looks garbage.
Which Netflix show?
There's a War for Cybertron Netflix show coming out.
Oh,
later
it's
this month.
exclusive to Netflix,
Yeah.
and they've recast everyone for it.
Well, it's based on the recent toy line, and it just looks fucking horrible. Like it looks like they've just taken 3D renders of the toys and just animated it with that and a bit of lighting.
Oh,
It looks gash. And
I'm
not-
gonna guess that Optimus is John Bailey because I know he's been doing more
Nope.
projects now, hasn't he?
They
instead of- no.
can't even afford John Bailey.
Oh shit! This is Transformers. They make money. What the hell?
Jake Fushi is Optimus Prime.
Sure, he's lovely, but I have no idea who that is.
Apparently,
Jake Fushi!
He voices him in the Cyberverse cartoon, so he's got form as Optimus, but he's not really been in anything much. It's like voiced almost completely with unknowns or lesser known voice actors. Like, it's not a single name on here that I recognise.
Yeah. What an odd gambit for them to take.
It looks gash, mate. It looks gash. It's really upsetting.
Send me a trailer after this. I want to have a look at it.
I will.
With my dirty eye. My one dirty eye.
I don't know. I don't know who would be in it. Because the problem with Optimus Prime is you want to do a voice that isn't just someone doing a Peter Cullen impression. John Bailey.
Well, to be fair, that's why he was hired initially, wasn't it? As like pickup lines and coverage and stuff. They just went, we can't get Peter Cullen all the time. John Bailey, you're going to do this cartoon.
Gary Chalk did a decent job as Optimus Primal in the Beast Wars cartoon, but again, it's like you just bring it back Optimus Primal. In terms of like, if who's got a voice that can.
Oh, if you're gonna go big, like if budget's not an option, if budget's no concern.
Budget is never a concern for us.
Josh Brolin. He's got the natural gravel to his voice.
Josh Brolin would be a better Megatron.
You think?
He's got an air of menace to him.
He does, but I want to hear that warmth. I want to hear that warmth that he exudes on his Instagram feed.
Sam Elliott.
Fuck off and take my money. I'd watch the shit quick while he's still around.
No,
he's in that Star Is Born afterglow. Get Sam Elliott in.
He's too old. He'd have to be Cup. You salty old veteran.
All right, fair enough. I take that.
Who is enough of an absolute screamer to be Starscream? Think of
somebody who shrill as hell.
Yeah.
I'd say Chris Rock, but after that monologue he gave about animation work being super easy, I don't really want to give him any voiceover roles ever again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you have I ever showed you or lent you I Know That Voice, the John DiMaggio documentary?
I think we watched it together.
Oh, in bed?
Maybe.
Because of that brilliant bit where they play the Chris Rock piss-takey monologue about voice acting being the easiest gig in the world.
Yeah.
And then later on you hear it again, and it eventually reveals that it's Eric Bauza, who's the current main Looney Tunes guy, is the one actually performing it that time, and you're like, oh shit! Yeah. Dude's got skill. Yeah. I've seen some of the new Looney Tunes cartoons as well. They're really good. They're on HBO Max, but some have made their way to the internet for people who can't get hold of them.
What? That never happens.
They're really good. They are really, really, really good. They're like the most recent Mickey Mouse cartoons level of good. They're fucking hilarious. Worth a look-see.
I have to get John Mulaney in there, but I don't know who he'd be. He'd be like a proper Poindexter character.
Shit. Now you've said that, Nick Kroll for Starscream.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because dude can screech.
Yeah, Nick Kroll would be a decent Starscream.
Who's Starscream's sort of most constant companion? Who does Starscream tend to rely on? Well,
he has his two mates, Skywarp and Thundercracker, the other two Seekers, who are just palette swaps of him.
Oh, great. Well, there you go. Have John Mulaney voice them.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a big mouth, oh, hello, Easter egg.
Who else we got? Rabbits shouldn't have a voice. None of the animals should have voices.
Can Weird Al voice one again?
He didn't voice anyone in the thing.
Not in the movie, but he's played one in a series since.
Has he?
Yeah, I'm sure he has. I'm sure Weird Al has played a Transformers. I'll look it up because I'm sure.
Probably Redgar then, because they used his song for the Junkion sequence in the movie. So have him play Redgar again if you're going to do Junkions, or have him play someone have him play Jazz for a laugh.
Oh yeah, Now you've said it. Hang on, yeah, Weird Al has his own page on the Transformers wiki.
Well, he will, because TF Wiki is bonkers.
He's played Wreck-Gar.
Yeah. TF Wiki is one of the best...
And the Sumdac Systems Technician.
TF Wiki is one of the best wikis I've ever read, because it's written so knowingly and so tongue-in-cheek. Like, there's no, like, sort of, oh, this is professional record keeping, and we're going to be really clear and analytical about this. It's like, no, this is fucking stupid, and we're going to be very clear that this is fucking stupid. Like,
Speaking of, Weird Al, the reason why he's got a wiki page isn't just because of Dare to Be Stupid being on the soundtrack for Transformers the movie.
Okay.
Isn't just because he's voiced two characters in what was Garbage In, Garbage Out was an episode of
Transformers Animated, probably.
Yes, Transformers Animated. So he voices one character in that and Wreck-Gar in, doesn't say which version. Probably Transformers Animated.
Yeah.
But he also is mentioned in the Dark of the Moon novelization. And the IDW movie comics, Bumblebee uses samples of his voice to make an argument to Sam Witwicky.
Brilliant.
So Weird Al's in there, and I think he should play every Transformer.
I probably wouldn't bring any of the movie cast back.
No.
Not even Frank Welker.
With exception of...
As much as I love Frank Welker, just like, give the man a rest. He's done his job. He's done his job.
No, he's not. He'll be there forever.
Conroy would be a great
Jones for... Conroy? Kevin Conroy? Yes, but modulate him.
Mark Hamill would also be a great Starscream, but he'd just be doing the Joker again.
Hamill would probably give good Megatron, to be
Hamill
fair.
would give good Megatron, actually. He would give good Megatron. But if you wanted to do, like, sagely Autobot, like, again, like Cup or Alpha Trion or one of the older Autobots like Ironhide, you could go Hamill with that as well.
I mean, you could, on the Hamill train, Ford wouldn't be a bad Prime.
Ford would be an amazing Prime, but he'd be too stoned to know what the fuck was going on.
If he gave a shit but was also stoned on the day, you'd get the best Prime out of him.
Yeah. After
Like
seeing
the passion would come through the weed.
You'd have to do more female characters, so like gender swap old characters, so you get more of a female casting as well. I'd definitely bring Lake Bell in.
Yeah?
And Ashley Johnson.
I mean, fuck it. Just make Prime a female voice. Like, these guys don't have, like, gender in the strict...
Yeah, play with gender.
Terminology sense. Just fuck it. It's just, they're robots. Give them voices. Different people of different genders and identities voice them. Why not?
There are more prominent female characters that have sort of been back-engineered into G1 through the IDW comics and stuff, so it'd be nice to see more of them pop up. Like Windblade and Nautica, RC, of course, Chromia, Firestar, Greenlight.
Let Bumblebee play a bee. Be played by a bee.
Yeah, let Bumblebee be a bee. If they want Bumblebee to be a kid, he should actually be a kid.
Yeah.
Just have him voiced by a kid.
Jacob Tremblay, cryogenically frozen and brought out once every few months to record some dialogue and then put back in the freezer.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Or we'll take arms. If anyone tries to stop us, we'll take 13 arms.
That wasn't... also, perhaps a fan cast for future X-Men films. Will you bring in Hugh Watsit for Wolverine again, or is it time for someone new in that role? It's time for someone new. Would you even have Wolverine in the new franchise?
Grumpy, and hench.
I wouldn't have Wolverine in the first X-Men film.
I wouldn't have him in the first two. No, I wouldn't have him in the first two.
I'd go.
Or if you are going to bring him in, you bring him in the Ultimate style. You have him be like the thing that Magneto or another villain like leaves in the swamplands that they throw out to. Do you know what I mean? Like give us an excuse to be on the wrong side of his claws and learn how dangerous he is before like bringing him over to the goodies.
I'd go original 5 and I'd go young.
I think we've talked about it before. That we said,
we have talked about this a bit.
You Luther King and Malcolm X it. You make the debate more about that. You have Eric Lenscher be a political presence in the first story. He appears in it, but Magneto ain't the baddie for story 1. He's part of the machinations of story 2. You save him for story 3 as your like big villain for the art.
Or you do like you did with the First Class movie and have him and Xavier as allies initially, but with differing approaches, and then. Whatever. Yeah. The thing that they are brought to conflicts by how the first story ends.
I don't want Xavier and and Lencher to be main characters, though. I want Xavier to be the Dumbledore of it all.
Yeah, the Nick Fury.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's there, and of course he's the reason why everything is everything, and he gets his alas earwax scene with Jean or Scott, whoever we make our main character out of those two. Do you know what I mean? You have that. You make the first movie a small, simple story of these kids at this school that's, it's known about, but it's not really known what they do specifically yet. And the enemies of the first film, it's a simple scrap. Your first enemies are a group of kids who are being pissy and terrorizing stuff, who are calling themselves the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you have the 5 school students be like, we're going to stop them. Like, we'll go stop them. Like, they're going to ruin everything that, like, the professor wants to build, and let's go and deal with it. And you're essentially adapting sort of parts of X-Men Evolution into a film. Harry Potter meets X-Men Evolution. And you cast Giancarlo Esposito as Magneto, because fucking come on.
I watched
stay old with those characters if you want, or purposefully cast them sort of around 40, 50, so you can do more with them as the films progress. But I don't mind them staying older, just so it means the younger stars and the mutants that haven't had a good focal point get more screen time in this iteration.
I watched The Vast of Night recently on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Great little Twilight Zone-y sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And the 2 leads in that, Sierra McCormick and Jake Horowitz, would be a very, very good Scott and Jean.
Okay. That's a good shout. What's it called again? Vast of Night?
The Vast of Night.
Okay. I'll have to give it a look.
Good, man. It's good. Spooky.
And you make Mojo or Arcade the villain of your second film.
Yeah, alright.
Because I want to see the kids like put through the ringer by some super maniacal, like, I have the money to make this happen, or I have the land to make this happen. Bad guys just like, I'm just going to throw you guys into a fucking maze of death and see what happens. This will be fun. Because we've not had that before. And if you do Mojo World, you run the risk of being a bit too similar to the Contest of Champions in Ragnarok. So you need to make it different. But, maybe you go Mojo World more in the style of Ultimate X-Men, or like the way Deadpool kind of does a reality show version of his mercenary shtick in the Ultimate Spider-Man game, where it's like, hey everybody, Deadpool TV, so I'm going to kill this kid in the blue and red jammies, and you guys are going to watch it. Let's go!
Very good.
Oh, he's wearing the black jammies. I wonder why he's wearing the... Oh my god, its arms are growing. So yeah. You could do that. And then the third film, you do Magneto, and that's where you whip out your Sentinels and things like that, and you start to, like, the Sentinels should be specifically designed to take down Magneto's heavy hitters who are doing something big.
Yeah.
That way you get them, but it's not like the MCU doesn't suddenly become a world where robots are policing children. Do you know what I mean? You can have it so that they're an obstacle designed to fight the villain, who the villain can then fuck around with and turn on the heroes for a set piece, and you get your Sentinels and, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Just give me a good Fantastic Four movie. I just want that.
Yeah.
I just want a good Fantastic Four film. Come on, please.
Fucking
please.
do it.
Give me Doom. Give me good Doom, but save him for the sequel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Movie Bob's take, like, I don't necessarily agree that they have to be time travel thingies, but it works.
Yeah,
it's
I think
a good
that's a good
idea.
plan. It's like, these guys were lost in the 60s, and it's how you can sort of like... And I think it'd make an interesting social commentary, as well as, like, reconciling 60s values with modern sensibilities.
Yeah. There's stories to be told there. And tell them they shall.
But we shall tell no more stories on this podcast because it's over.
No.
Well, on this episode anyway, because this episode's over. The podcast as a whole isn't over.
Yeah.
We're going to be back next week.
This is the last episode, guys, of this week.
Yeah, it's the last episode until the next one, which will be next week.
Yeah.
212.
212.
This week, isn't it?
212.
Thanks.
Year of our Lord. This is the Mayan Apocalypse number.
Thanks, folks, for 212 episodes.
Yeah.
And
send your cake and blood tributes to bigdamcontact@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Praise at the altar of Big Damn Cast on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bear witness to our glory and spray silver paint on your mouths whilst watching twitch.tv/BigDamnStream.
Witness him.
And and catch all of our gunk and spunk and drunk in the chunk to YouTube's Big Damn channel. That's where we send it all. When people say, what are you going to do with all those lumps? We say we're going to get you drunk, get you love drunk off our YouTube channel, Big Damn channel. I need alcohol. I don't know about you.
Content for the content god. That's what I say.
Mr. Content must feast.
Mr. Content hungers.
We shall appease him. He starves, Matthew. He
now
starves.
we must go and fill his gaping maw.
Oh, it does gape.
Void, which opens in his face.
You're picturing the same thing I am. This is a raw podcast. Thanks, everybody.